We're live.
We are live, baby.
I was thinking about doing an alternate intro today.
I was thinking if
Just
you were doing
like
a cold one, I was kind of trying to be
Well, wait,
casual,
this is,
so you could
this
do the
is
cold.
casual. This is kind of how we're gonna start things going forward. And then I was thinking like a radio voice.
It's like my favorite finance podcast that I've showed you before.
Compound.
Yes, where they're chopping it up, and then all of a sudden they kind of look around. They're like, "All right, y'all ready to go?"
Shout out downtown Josh Brown
Downtown Josh Brown,
and
Michael Batnick.
Batnick. Sick name.
So there was an interview podcast I was watching this week, Theo Vaughn with Senator Kennedy. And
Yes,
I saw that on my feed. I haven't watched it.
They were chopping it up for a good 15, 20 minutes. And Senator Kennedy's like, well, hey, we can record whenever you're ready. He's like, yeah, we already have been. He's like, all right, let's go. And it was like...
I'm going to have my team look back at that first.
But it was so like...
We should start trying that.
It was so... I don't know. It was so, like that first part was really good because
Yeah.
they're both from Louisiana. They're chopping it up about their histories and
I think that's
stuff.
that's the way to make it feel most authentic. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like click record, start going.
Yeah.
And then eventually, welcome back to the Entrusted Podcast.
Here we are.
I'm here with Ben Presley.
Heck yeah, man. Let's go.
And tonight, that was a fake real intro, but we have my good friend, fellow service member in the college ministry at Lakeview.
That's right.
Former youth pastor at Lakeview. We're going to get into all that. Gregory Key. Greg Key.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Legally, just Greg.
Okay. Oh, really?
You just, really? Yeah.
No Gregory.
Yeah.
Okay.
No Gregory. Yeah. So
Okay.
fun fact, my parents wanted to name my brother and I names that we would not shorten later in life and then have to go by that whole no, I go by Greg or whatever. So we're just Scott and Greg. That's it, man.
I call you G sometimes.
Hey, listen.
I've shortened Greg down to G.
To quote my dad, you can call me whatever you want. Just make sure you call me for dinner. Yeah.
Come on.
You're going to get a lot of little one-liners with Greg tonight. I promise you, everyone.
Yeah. Come on.
And we're going to get into all this and Greg's involvement with this podcast. He's been a tremendous blessing for us. Definitely outside of our mothers, our biggest fan, the most loyal listener.
Yep.
Has pumped us on social media, has commented on our videos, has listened to every episode.
Let's go.
And created all the branding for the Entrusted Podcast.
Yeah, so if you're watching on YouTube, well, I think the intro's on Spotify too, maybe the sound part. But on YouTube, if you watched on YouTube about 30 seconds ago, you saw the intro that's helped out from him.
Yeah, that's
Come
right.
Come on.
So we'll get into your career and what you're doing and that stuff. But glad you're here tonight.
Man, it really is. I mean, everybody says it, but it really is a blessing. It really is. You guys know so many people, and it's pretty humbling to be here. I'm not gonna lie.
Happy to have you.
Thanks,
so you're a regular listener. You know how this goes.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Yes. You and Aaron are now have both said that recently.
Oh,
long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah, there you go. I think you beat me to it, man.
Also, I just realized I said This is accountability from the world at large here. Yeah. I listened to Alex the other day and I said a lot and it bothered me. And I want to start making sure I do a better job of clearly articulating my thoughts, letting a pause happen, and then completing the thought.
Is that the first one you've listened to?
And not filling the space. No, but it was more...
I think it was probably one-on-one.
It was one-on-one.
Yeah.
And somebody in the theater and arts industry told me once, the dramatic pause is the most underutilized part of speech that we have.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
And right there, I wanted to say,
There it is.
but I didn't. Just let it sit.
We're so proud of you. I mean, we're literally watching you grow up in this episode.
I'm going to do my best tonight. I'm going to be intentional about it and think clearly as I speak.
Come on.
You know how we do this?
That is, I will tell you, that is the one thing to me. We try to make this feel as much like a lunch as possible.
Yeah.
But the silence moment in this feels like an eternity.
It does.
When we're in here live,
Sure.
but then when I watch it back to help Zach with the clipping and editing and all that, I can think back to a specific moment that I'm like, we may need to cut some silence out there. And then when I watch it, it just feels like nothing.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about your first birth,
Yes.
where you're from,
Yeah.
upbringing, parents, into your second birth and how the Lord saved you.
Yeah.
And the floor is yours.
Floor is mine. Perfect. So born in Birmingham, Alabama at a young age. I was blessed. Yeah, thank you. You're welcome.
Which part? You got to specify from Birmingham. We talking.
So east side of Birmingham, Center Point. Most people have not ever heard of Center Point.
Yep.
It's kind of nestled in the area of Trustful, Clay Chalkful, Pinson Valley Those were, well, Clay Chalkville didn't exist when I was growing up. So Trussville, Pinson were high school rivals growing up. Really, really fortunate to be born into a Christian home, really solid Christian home. My dad, self-employed, contracting, wallpaper, painting, woodworking. My grandfather was a carpenter. And so fortunate there. They were very active at a local church in Center Point, Hilldale Baptist Church. Had a chance to be in the same home in the same home church like all of growing up. So I was really fortunate there. I don't know how old I was, early elementary, I guess. I started talking to my dad, or my dad was having conversations with me about salvation, about Jesus, about heaven. And I just looked at him and his example. I don't know if you know very many people in the construction world, but most of them are pretty shady, pretty unreliable, not really a ton of men of integrity. I saw that in my dad as the, kind of the anomaly, so to speak, at least in a large city like Birmingham. You can be a conniving thief and you can hide amongst the many neighborhoods, right? And so I was like, yeah, well, I guess it's like you, Dad, right? Just going to church faithfully. He was a deacon, sang in the choir, taught youth Sunday school, and then just, live a good life. And I'll never forget the quote he said. He said, well, going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than going to Waffle House makes you a waffle, right? And you can use that since you hate Waffle House.
Amen.
And so he taught me about Jesus. Went and talked to my pastor at the time, Dr. Jenkins. Shared the gospel with me. I think that's what I want to do. Baptized, and then was just faithful in the church. And fortunate that my youth pastor was there for decades, Donnie Holly, and was really solid. So we had Dr. Jenkins who preached, just straight through like what we have at Lakeview, line by line, verse by verse, just preach through the Bible. My youth pastor was really faithful to the scriptures. He was an incredible, godly man. But somewhere in, junior high, middle school, I just grew completely disinterested in God and the things of God. I didn't have like a tragedy in my life that happened. Like my parents didn't get divorced. I didn't have a tragic loss or anything. I really like looking back. I think it's just when Jesus talks about abiding, I wasn't. I didn't have spiritual disciplines present in my life. I wasn't being discipled, not because those opportunities weren't there. They were definitely there. I was very involved in sports. That became my identity. And so, but I stayed out of trouble because I had a real fear of my dad. I was like, man, if I came home drunk or I ended up getting a girl pregnant, like I really don't know how he would respond. My coaches didn't put up with any nonsense. I wasn't like a national athlete in any stretch of the means, but like athletics was my identity, and they didn't play around, man. Like if you were a knucklehead at school, like they just would kick you off the team. They wouldn't even think twice about it. And so very much like a Nick Saban style, coaching regime.
Old school,
man. Well, I am old school. And so, so I, for the most part, like in high school, I pretty much stayed out of trouble. But toward the tail end, I wanted to come somewhere. So my biggest background athletically is swimming. I was a competitive swimmer starting at 5. My lifelong dream was to swim in the Olympics, and I don't know why that was the case, but it was. And so visited Auburn my junior year. Also knew I wanted to do graphic design, so I'm like one of those. Did
you have a particular stroke that you liked the best? Or?
Yeah, butterfly was where I excelled.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah. So it's kind of odd, like not to go down that side tangent too much, but like it just is so natural to me, even now in my 50s. Like
you just like flopping and wailing in the water.
Yes, I like physically flopping and wailing like I flop and wail when I'm thinking, when I'm speaking. It's just natural to me to flop and wail. No, and you know what? I've dipped my toe in coaching when I was in college, and it was one of those like I can just do it. I couldn't teach it, and
it just
like
came naturally.
It just did, yeah. And
oftentimes when people are really proficient at something, it's hard to translate that to someone else because you just think, just do this.
Yeah, like I would tell them what I knew, and then like they couldn't execute, and they're like, well, "What now?" And I'm like, "I don't know because I don't know why you can't execute that."
Just watch me do it like this.
The butterfly for me was just brutal. Swimming was actually my favorite growing up early too, and I remember doing the individual medley, and it was like I could smoke almost everyone we swam against in all 3, and then just butterfly. It was just
it's game over.
It's hard.
Couldn't do it.
It's a hard stroke.
Like egotistically, in my prime, I would race people swimming freestyle while I was swimming butterfly, and I rarely lost.
Wow.
Wow.
Is butterfly more of, we're going to stop this tangent in a second.
Yeah, no, guys.
Is it more in the arm pull when they enter the water, or is it more in kind of like the contortion of your body? And the kick?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, you see the pull, right? You don't typically see the kick, but there's a double kick per pull. Okay. And so your biggest kick is to help propel you out of the water so you can breathe. Breathing's good, right? That's right. In swimming. And so the second one on the down pull is more of a flutter kick. And then your biggest kick is when you push up to get your torso up to breathe. Yeah.
So it's mostly a kicking motion.
Yeah, but if you ever try to get a kickboard and just do, say, like 25 yards
so hard
with nothing but butterfly kick, you feel like you're drowning and you're like all over the place. So it really is like a very like in sync, like stroke and pull really has to be in rhythm to get
very
that
technical
full
movement.
Yeah.
You're just a very technical guy.
I wouldn't think so, but I loved it, man.
That opens up a new world for my
I loved
respect of you.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Okay. There is if I can take a sidebar, there's a story of mine when I was younger that later on I used a lot as a spiritual analogy. When I was a kid, I just excelled at swimming, and so I guess once I got old enough, like late elementary, I qualified to compete at like the state level. I don't know, like maybe 9, 10, something like that. So my dad takes me somewhere out of town. I can't remember what it was, maybe Huntsville or Montgomery, somewhere like that. And I walk in, and they just have this row of tables with all of those big trophies. Well, I'm a kid, right? So I want the biggest trophy that's sitting on the table. Scouting my competition, I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm like, this trophy's mine. So I make it and to the championship heat, no problem, and blew everybody out of the water. And I was like, I'm going home with the big trophy. And I walk up there, and they give me a ribbon. It's like this big. It's red, white, and blue. I was like, what the bump? I was like, what is that? And it said standard breaker. Okay. I didn't know what that was. And I was so like, I was a lot of emotions, disheartened, frustrated, like sad. And my dad is just like elated. And I'm like, what the heck? And he's like, Greg, like you broke the state record. And that's what that was. And I was like, sweet. So when does the big trophy come? He's like, no, you get the ribbon. Like the ribbon's better than the trophy. I was like,
smaller.
No, it's not.
I was like, in what world do you live in that the ribbon is better than the trophy, right?
So great.
I was so bummed. So then I had like 2 more events. I think you compete in 3. So I had 2 more events. So next event, same thing. Got another ribbon. Broke another state championship. I was like, come on. I was like, give me the dang trophy.
Do I need to finish 5th to get one of these trophies? Because I will.
I was legit like, where do I need to, how do I, like, somebody time me, like, hey, slow, like, pump the brakes. And my dad was like, Greg, if you get another one of these, I'll buy you the biggest trophy that you can get. And so I cleaned house, and he did. He went and bought me a big swim trophy, awesome. Right? And at the time, I didn't know, right? And so I used that parallel to, I wonder if that's what Saturday felt like between the cross and the resurrection. It's like people had won something greater than an earthly Messiah to rule and reign over them, but they didn't know it yet. Mm-hmm. And then when the resurrection happened and you read in the book of Acts, like then it clicks and they go, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. We thought we wanted this. We got something even better. Mm-hmm. And so I still have those ribbons like nice. Framed, and I keep them at my house as a reminder of so many times I have something so much greater than what I realize in the moment. And I just need to trust and like take it all awesome. In. So anyway, that was just a fun little, probably arrogant and egotistical at its heart. But anyway, so I knew I wanted to swim in college.
And then it was all downhill from
Yeah,
there.
it was. No, man, I maybe like you in golf, I don't know, and other people, like I was able to really excel at that. Also wrestled and ran track and long distance running. Loved those. I just didn't excel at them like I did swimming. So
I'm surprised you were able to do others, because I remember swimming. Most of the people I knew that actually ended up that being their main sport. It's like you're swimming at 5 a.m., 5 p.m., maybe even a lunch swim. Like I can't believe you had time for the others.
So wrestling, it's a crap ton of conditioning, and so like in season was 3 months, and so. As I got older, I was like, I made varsity in 9th grade, I think, in wrestling. And so I was able to just take a break from swimming from those 3 months. Gotcha. But then when I ran like long distance in the fall and track in the spring, I went and worked out on my own in the morning because they didn't do morning workouts. And so could not gain weight because I was so scrawny because I was burning so many calories.
Just always physical.
And so and then I knew I wanted to do graphic design as well. Like that kind of came on my radar.
They had that back in the early 1900s. In high school? When you
they didn't, but I scribbled a lot on papyrus tablets and with my quill pen.
Okay. You were just such a forward thinker. You were like, this is coming in the future.
Well, you know what's funny is I love to draw. Like I loved to draw. I was very artistic, which was a weird pairing, being like artistic and athletic. And so I love to draw, but I was like, I don't know what to do because like back in the day, there was one adjective that was paired with artist. You know what it was?
Gay.
Starving.
Broke.
Sorry. Well, this was back before LGBTQ came about.
I don't know. That's just what I thought.
Not homosexuality. You find that in the Bible, but yeah.
Okay, anyways.
No, adjective means like it doesn't replace the title. Maybe we should clip that. I don't know. Anyway, they say when you're working with children, like don't give them open-ended questions that you don't know what the answer is going to be.
There's a great line on a network television broadcast of Tiger Woods hitting this amazing little chippy 3-wood shot from behind a green. It's in really grainy. You can find it on YouTube. And David Faraday's commentating. And he hits it up there, and he trickles it over the hill and goes like a foot. And David Faraday goes, oh, he's got the touch of a gay florist.
That's awesome.
That's a great. So you look it up.
They're like, don't go live on that camera.
And it's on there. It's Tiger Woods, Dave Faraday live on TV.
I mean, if you find a better analogy, we'll plug it in, right? Okay. But it's starving artist was where I was intending to go with that. And so I was like, well, who wants to be a starving artist? Well, it just so happens I have a cousin that's several years older than me. When I was like a sophomore in high school, he was at Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia, studying graphic design. And so he was like, hey, Greg, why don't you come stay with me? Our spring breaks did not align. So he was like, come stay with me over spring break. I'll take you to classes and I'll introduce you to like I call it corporate creative, right? Like what that looks like. Mm-hmm. So, I don't think I'd ever left Birmingham except to maybe go to like Gatlinburg, Tennessee or Pigeon Forge or something like that. Dollywood was probably the highest peak I'd ever experienced. And so.
What year was this, seriously?
Well, it's probably been like the 89. So 88, 89, somewhere around in there.
So this is still pre-internet. I mean, it is like this is pencil and paper and like.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I guess computers.
Yeah, computers are kind of getting their thing, but it's still like inking and it's a lot of fine arts involved for sure.
Yeah.
And so I go over there and he kind of opens up my eyes to this whole new world of graphic design. So I was like, man, that's what I want to do. So I talked to my parents and I was like, so I want to go to college. I'd have been the first in my family to go to college and I was like, but I want to do graphic design and I want to swim. And I was like, I don't know how you do that together. And my dad worked for a guy who was involved with the Lucky Company. It's a big marketing and advertising company in Birmingham. And he was like, hey, so my son's interested in graphic design, like what you guys do. And he was like, what's a good school? And he was like, Auburn has one of the best, like in the South. And I was like, well, they also have David Marsh. And they have like a wall of Olympians. And I don't know if you've ever been to the James Martin Aquatic Center.
I know how good they are, but I haven't.
Yeah, so you look at like when I was here, like early and mid 90s, it's just like Olympic name after Olympic name, right? And so I was like, perfect. I'd never been to Auburn, right? And so my mom brings me and I do a campus tour, maybe like my junior year in high school. And I see the library. I thought it was the Civic Center. Like, I had never seen a building that big. I was like, bro, they got a civic center right next to the campus? And I saw, like, RBD library, and I was like, that's the library? I mean, my high school wasn't super small, but it wasn't huge. I mean, we were a 5A school back in the day, 100-something people in my graduating class. And so I was like, what? But I got a chance to tour the graphic design. I got a chance to meet with Coach Marsh. I was not at the level I thought I was, because when you come to Auburn at that point in time, you're talking global athletes. I don't think preferred walk-on was like an actual title at the time, but like that's what I would have been, So I come to Auburn, to make short story long, I come to Auburn and I'm coming here for graphic design and for swimming. Ready, meet with my athletic advisor. They get me signed up for classes, start working out with the team, as soon as I came on campus. And then the semester started and I had to meet with my academic advisor. And the way that graphic design schedule was structured, you couldn't take as many classes we were on quarters back then, couldn't take as many classes in a quarter as what other students could. So she was like, when you're in season, you're going to have a hard time like being a full-time student. And I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, well, it'll take you longer to graduate. And I was like, wow. I mean, because my parents are working. I'm working to help pay for school. Like I wasn't here on a scholarship. And so I was like, I mean, we really were on a pretty tight budget to try to make this thing work. I was working 2 to 3 jobs a year, just trying to make it work. And so I was like, well, so I talked to my dad and I was like, Pop, I think I'm at a place where I've got to pick. And he was like, I'll support you, whatever you want to do. I was like, I kind of feel like if I want to stay graphic design, like Auburn's probably the best place, but I need to drop swimming. If I want to stick with swimming, I probably need to transfer somewhere else, and do something different. And he was like, well, whatever you do. He's like, I'm cool with it. He said, just think ahead. Which one do you think it gives you a better opportunity for a career? And, I'm 18 years old. This is my childhood dream. I don't know if either of you guys have ever had to like give up on a childhood dream, but it's a little gut wrenching, right? And so I was like, well, I don't know what you do professionally as a swimmer. In case you missed the headlines, I'm not Michael Phelps or Rowdy Gaines at the time, right? Was my like athletic icon. So I was like, well, I guess I'll stick to graphic design. So I dropped swimming. And wouldn't you know, they won, I think it was 4 SEC championships and 3 national championships in the 5 years I was here. So I was like, of course they did. I
guess you probably could have been the same adjective. You would have been a broke swimmer.
That's right. I'd have been a broke swimmer. That's right. Yeah, starving swimmer. But I was able to, so I was on a travel team. We traveled all over the Southeast competing. And so when I went home for Christmas break, I called up my old coach and was like, hey, can I come? Because I still stayed in shape for swimming, and I said, hey, can I come still like train at the pool like while I'm home? And she was like, yeah. She's like, so are you like officially on the team? I was like, no, I had to drop that. And she was like, well, you actually can still swim with us until you're 21. Oh. And I was like, bro, let's go. So I actually got to train on my own like while I was in college, and she would just tell me like where the meets were, and I could just drive all over the Southeast and go for the weekend and just compete.
Were you able? Did you have a decent pool at Auburn? Was there a student pool or something you could swim laps in?
Yeah, yeah. So the James Martin Aquatic Center, they have
like certain hours.
That's right. They have hours where you can go lap swim. That's right. Yeah, and of course, I had a whole folder full of workouts, and we would either print them out or handwrite them out, and we would laminate them. That way it could stick to the side of the pool, it'd be waterproof.
The swimming hours are really interesting because it's a lot of them are in the early morning, and you get like students who have their student membership, about half the lanes are that, and then there's the other half is the senior citizen class with like the water weights.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. It's a good combo of demographic there.
Yeah, it was. I'm an early riser. I kind of always have been. So like it was pretty easy for me to get up at 6 o'clock, go do a workout, and then go to school. So
my only experience in a pool, I did not swim at all growing up, for competitively racing swimming, and so I've tested swimming with CrossFit stuff.
Yeah.
And so I've done some workouts at like Moore's Mill Pool with sweet 70-year-old ladies over in the corner where there's things, and I'm like, swim a lap, get out, 10 burpees, swim a lap, get out, 10 thrusters. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy.
No, they're living vicariously through you.
No, it's like, I know I'm disrupting your class right now. I'm sorry, but I'm on a time crunch. So anyways, swimming is hard. It's a wonderful workout.
Yeah, so I think one of the craziest things I saw, Coach Rosen and Hal Cooper were the track coaches when I was here in school. So I was working out on my own, and the racing pool, like the 50-meter pool at the Mart, it like you can't touch the bottom. You can't. It's too deep. And so I'm swimming, and I could see the sprinters like out of the corner of my eye, and bro, I think it was short course. I think we're 25 meters that day, but they have this lumbar buoy, right? So they have almost like a floaty, like a kid's floaty with like a waist strap that sits in their lumbar, and it held them upright in the water, and they had to sprint 25 meters just in the water. Well, I mean, bro, you don't go like anywhere, but they can't stop, right? And so, Coach Rosen and Coach Cooper over there just like on them. And these guys are going, and no joke, like I'm swimming. And I looked over and I was like, bro, that sucks. Like and literally like after a few minutes, you just see like bodies laid out on the side of the pool, like beached whales, and their diaphragm is just like
chugging,
gasping for. I just remember thinking, crazy. I was like, that's one of the most like diabolical sprint workouts. Yeah. But anyway, so
I got a question. I want to know.
Yeah.
On your spiritual journey, we left off that you'd kind of gone away in junior high, middle school, whatever age you said that was.
Right.
I'm sure you're getting to this, but I'm curious, as you're making such a big decision and kind of at that point, 18, 19 years old, identity-altering decision, where you were at spiritually with all this.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what I was going to come back to was morally, my safety net was my dad and my coaches, right? And so I stayed out of trouble. Like I was a pretty good kid,
Which is a gift of common grace to you.
I think so, yeah. My vocabulary was terrible. My joking was terrible. My interests were terrible, but like I behaved for the most part just enough. Well, you take a 19-year-old kid and you move him 120 miles away. Well, actually, I was 18. Take an 18-year-old kid, you move him away from the two things that held him accountable, my dad and my coaches. And that's what I had a fear of. I didn't have a fear of God. I had a fear of my dad, and I had a fear of my coaches. Well, now, as you alluded to, Ben, you've now pulled those coaches away. I mean, I still had my coach from Birmingham, but like she wasn't here.
Yeah.
Making sure I behaved. She just wanted to know what meets I was going to show up and win awards for, right? So, bro, it was game on, man. My life became the devil's playground. And I think I still had a little bit of a moral compass to where, like, my freshman year, I was like, okay, there's certain lines I'm not going to cross. Like, so for example, like I'm not going down the path of drugs. I'll drink heavy, I'll party heavy, work hard, play hard, kind of mindset. And then it just like anything else, as Brother I used to say, like, if you give the devil a toehold, he'll take a foothold. And if you give him a foothold, now all of a sudden he's got a stronghold. And so yeah, man, it just, every year it got deeper and deeper and deeper. So, I was here for 5 years cause I, messed around and flunked a bunch of classes. My first quarter, my GPA was like 1.7. I had found out
better than 1.6.
It is.
With 5 years, you probably could have kept swimming.
Right. Yeah. Looking back, I could have kept swimming. I couldn't have lived the lifestyle I lived, but yeah. So, man, it was really bad. I'd go home. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, man. I'd play Mr. Nice Guy. I thought I had everybody fooled. Later on in life, all the guys that worked with me in the youth group, my youth pastor, they were all like, Greg, like you really didn't have as many people fooled as you think you did. Because, we didn't have social media and stuff back then. So, you know what I mean? Like you just didn't have that accountability. And so, but man, I had two guys, Stephen Hall and Michael Vires, who, I don't know if you ever met Mike. I think he's at Grace Auburn now, he and his family. But they grew up with me, and they both were really solid believers. And Michael and his family were missionaries overseas for a while. Stephen's now in ministry in Birmingham. And, man, they never gave up on me, But the biggest difference was they never, like, judged me. They would be like, hey, Greg, go with us to, eat or something.
Would you attend church at all or play the game here, or did you just totally
You want to hear a fun fact?
Bring it.
So I'm full of stories. So my freshman year, my parents were asking me, did I find a church? I was like, yeah. I worked at Papa John's, like downtown. So across the street is First Baptist Auburn, right?
You found it?
Yeah. And so I was like, yeah. No, I go to First Baptist Auburn. They were like, okay, all right. So in the spring, they came down for like 8A Parents Weekend kind of thing. And they're like, hey, we want to stay the weekend. We want to go with you to church. I was like, deal. Well, my roommate was a childhood friend of mine. He and I partied really hard. And he was like, Greg, you might want to go scout that thing out before like your parents come. I was like, bro, it's like every other Baptist church I've ever been in. Like, if you've seen the road right there on Glen Avenue, right? I was like, there's 3 doors in the front. You walk into a lobby. There's a guy that's obnoxiously happy. He hands you a program. You walk right into the service, and then you walk right back out. No biggie. Have you ever been to First Baptist Auburn?
No, but I've looked at their website.
I'm about to educate you. So I didn't scout it out. And so my parents come, and I'm all dappered up. Man, I just think I'm the biggest, like deceiver in the history. I got this in the bag. So I walk up. I opened the door like a gentleman. I let my mom walk in. I let my dad walk in. Those wooden doors that are right there on the street. And then I turn the corner and I walk in. That's not the lobby. So the worship center is actually a level above that. That's underneath. The front of the church is actually that one-way street that goes by City Hall
Titchener.
and Coffee Cat.
Yeah. I would have made the same mistake if I tried to pull that.
Yeah. So anybody listening, if you're deceiving your parents, go scout the church. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Just go to church. So my dad's like, well, where do we go from here? There's no signage or nothing. It's just a cinder block wall in a hallway.
Follow me.
And I'm like a deer in headlights. I'm like, and he's like, I was like, well, this isn't the way that I normally go. And he's like, why didn't we go the way that you normally go? I was like, and he goes, is it because there's not a way that you normally go? I was like, yes, sir. So we had to walk around to try to find, man. He got me. He nailed me, man.
That is
so
awesome.
Brother Al knows the story, right? So for years in like staff
Did you
meeting,
still go to the service?
No, yeah, we still went to the service, but I mean, I'm like grossly embarrassed. I know my face is red. I'm like trying to find a hole to climb in. I'm just, I'm like, gosh, this is terrible. So whenever somebody mentioned First Baptist Auburn, Brother Al would joke, and because he loves that story, and he would go, "Oh, that's where Greg went when he was in college," and then he had his laugh. So
good impression.
So other than that Sunday, no, I was not going to church anywhere. Yeah, would when I'd go back home, and then here it was game on. But I do know, man, I had parents and grandparents that were like faithfully praying for me, and I know that now because. Man, I would go through these pockets of conviction where I would realize like how far down a path I had gone. And and to be honest with you, like, I'm not trying to glorify my sin or anything. So I'd never want to like go into too much detail, but I would find myself in places where I'd be like, bro, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like seriously, like, what are you doing? And I knew that if my life stayed on that path, like, I don't think I would have graduated. And I was like, I don't know. I just can't do. So I would go through these pockets of misery where I would like clean up my life. I would try to get sober. I would try to do more moral things. They didn't last very long. They might last a week. They might last a month. And so my buddies, Stephen and Michael, were like, they just kept reaching out to me, and my parents and my family kept praying for me. And we started this thing, I think it was like my 4th year here, called Freedom Rallies on campus. And the arena hadn't been built yet, so it was at the SAC. And student act.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I saw a thing today where you see this tagline a lot in culture, but a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's a gospel reminder that we see in Scripture. Ephesians 2 comes to mind. You were dead in your trespasses and sins. Where if you're listening to this and you haven't trusted in Jesus as your Savior and bowed your knee to Him as the King of the world, there is not a better version of yourself. You're dead.
Yeah.
And so you can clean yourself up and you can pull your bootstraps up and brush the dust off.
Yeah.
But you're going to end up in the same place. And so that was the Lord, the Holy Spirit working in you to convict you of sin and ultimately lead you to salvation. But you will not concoct a better version of yourself.
No.
You're dead.
And even if you did, by the world standards, there's no varying degree of dead. Dead is dead.
That's right.
Dead.
So even if you think you've cleaned it up a little bit, even then you really haven't.
Yeah.
It's just a clear, sweet way where Scripture speaks into our experience, and our experience doesn't shape our truth.
Yeah.
Truth is truth, and we are born in sin under Adam because of their disobedience, and God is our salvation.
Yeah.
So, sorry. Keep going.
No, I share those details because it's about to come back around in a minute. So Freedom Rally was here. I was big into like concerts and stuff, and that kind of thing, mostly because of the party scene I was in. And so my buddies.
What was your band?
Like I really like Blues Traveler.
Do you have 8 tracks?
No, we were cassette tapes. I did grow up with 8 tracks.
Okay.
Yeah. Fun fact, do you know how many songs are on an 8 track?
Not 8.
Feels like a trick question.
That would be 8.
It is 8.
That's why it's called 8 track.
I thought it was going to be a trick
I was going to say 8, but it felt like a trick question.
I think there were some that may have had a little more. You take it out, flip it over.
My first memories of music were Amy Grant and Stephen Curtis Chapman cassette tapes.
There you go.
In my bedroom. Yeah.
We learned about an interesting use of cassette tapes.
We did.
Tuesday night.
I can't wait to hear it, man. I'm excited
we'll save
about
that. We won't know
Well,
spoilers.
actually, by the time this comes
out, you'll know.
People will know.
So I'll say this.
If you don't know what we're talking about, go listen to Dr. Whit.
Yes, I'm about to say, stop right now and go listen to Dr. Whit if you haven't, because that man is incredible.
Do you want to spoil it for him? Tell him about it?
Yeah,
I want to watch.
I
love.
This is a good. This is a good. This is a good. This is fun.
Come on.
I had never heard this, and some people who are older than me may be like, "Come on, you live under a rock." But I had never heard of this use. But he was talking about when he was in Vietnam, and he would be communicating with his wife.
Yeah.
Which I know people wrote letters, and he said they did that some, but they actually did the OG voice memo. They would record on a cassette tape, and then put the cassette tape in the mail and mail it back and forth to each other.
That's awesome.
I had never heard
I didn't
that.
know that
It's
existed.
like really
then
technologically advanced.
Yeah, for sure.
I
never heard of that.
Me neither.
My dad was in the military back then. I didn't know. I didn't know that was a thing, man.
Yeah,
Dr.
That's
Whit,
crazy.
big brain.
Yeah.
He's so crafty and so humble. What an incredible guy. What a mitch. But
Anyway, back to you. That was something.
yeah, no. So Stephen invited me to this freedom rally. There was a new band on the scene called Caveman's Call, and he was like, "Greg, you'll love them. They're very unorthodox in their music and everything." So we go.
Haven't they gone haywire now?
They have.
Okay.
Yeah,
You don't have to go there, but I just,
yeah,
I
it was.
thought I read something
They were
recently.
new on the scene at the time.
Yeah.
They were opening for groups like Jars of Clay.
Yep.
Things like that.
I mean, that was mid '90s or early '90s.
We're looking at like 96-ish.
Yeah, that was like my. I mean, I was 6 at the time, but I remember growing up. They were a huge band.
But Stephen was like, "Man, you're gonna love these guys, right?" And so he's and I was thinking like, so, and he said, and a guy's gonna share his story. Well, I had been going to church like tuning out pastors my whole life, so I was like, I can tune out this guy's story.
Let's go for the music.
In order to hear a great band, right? And I knew I had it in me. So I'm going with Stephen, and y'all, like, we're in the student act, and that whole area was packed. I mean, there were several hundred, maybe thousands of people in there. And, bro, when he started sharing his testimony, it was like I was sitting across from him like I am from you. Like everybody else was gone. And I think that was the first time that the Holy Spirit, like, really arrested my attention. And I just was like, I don't know, I could feel him, like really calling me to the cross. And when it came time to make a response, like I knew I needed to. I had gotten to a place where I just really was miserable in my sin, but I don't think I was 100% ready to turn from it yet. So I hunkered down and I didn't respond. And I thought, well, maybe I can kind of work on this on my own. So I was like, well, maybe I can start reading my Bible. That was something I hadn't done yet. And
before you go on with this testimony, was it something specifically in his story that resonated with you, or you think it was truly just the Spirit working in your heart at that time? Like you couldn't even tell us specifically what he said.
I don't even know that I can recall specific details, Ben, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I think it was just I think it was just for the first time. It wasn't somebody preaching at me. Yeah. It was somebody just sharing their story of where they were, how God had saved them. You know what I mean? And where they were now. And I just was fascinated that like this guy had lived in the ditches like I was. And you know what I mean? And like Jesus still saved him. And just the way he talked about like what his life with Christ was like, I was like, that's what I want. I knew that's what I wanted. And so I started reading my Bible. Well, the Bible's pretty intimidating. It's not like a regular book. Like you don't just start on page 1 and, go to Revelation 21. Like there's a lot there. But I remembered my youth pastor.
Mark Driscoll claims he did that when he first got a Bible.
Yeah.
It's neither here nor there. I think about that all the time when people talk about that.
I know.
He's be like, somebody gave me a Bible and I read it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, he probably did. He probably did.
Okay, keep going.
So I remember my youth pastor saying, like, hey, if you ever want to read the Bible and you don't know where to start, like a good place to start is a proverb a day. So there's 31 chapters of Proverbs. Months have at least 30, or up to 31 days. So whatever day of the week, the month it is. So like today's the 16th, go read the 16th chapter. Tomorrow read the 17th chapter and just recycle it. So much stuff in there that like, you can read stuff multiple times. So that was in the fall of 1996. And I went through those pockets. So the spring of 1997, I don't know what month it was, but it was the 19th day because I was reading my Bible and in Proverbs chapter 19, it says, a false witness will not go unpunished. And he who breathes lies will perish. I probably would have considered myself somewhat of a Christian, and I probably would have read that verse before, but I stopped, and all of a sudden the scriptures like really arrested my attention. Like, what does that mean that God won't let my false witness go unpunished?
Is that also the passage where it talks about presumptuous sins, like repeated sins over and over? Is it
Chapter 19, verse 5, I think is the first one that really stood off the page. Okay. And I sat in my little one-bedroom apartment on West Glen Avenue, and I think for the first time in my life, I had the fear of God.
Moved from your dad and your coaches to
yeah. And I sat there for I don't know how long, but it was a pretty decent amount of time, and almost like shivering in my soul, without being cheesy and corny. And I thought, well, let me just keep reading. Well, I couldn't go far because, again, in verse 9, it says the same thing. Am I right?
Wow, it does.
Yeah,
Says the
I'm
exact
looking at
same thing.
Yeah. And I'm like, dang, I couldn't stop it. And in my little one-bedroom apartment on West Glen Avenue, man, I got down on my face and I just was sobbing before the Lord. And I was like, God, I believe you have a willingness to forgive me. If you're willing to do that, I'm done. I'm done with every ounce of my life, and I want to follow Jesus. And by his grace, I've had a chance to be sober every day, like since that day. I have a lot of things, like vocabulary and things that took longer. But I was like, man, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I had zero Christian. Well, I didn't have zero. Stephen and Mike were here for like the next month. Stephen went to Lakeview. Mike was at a church plant that was at the skate center that became Cornerstone United Methodist. Don't know if you ever went to Cornerstone United Methodist back in the day.
Became Cornerstone or the building?
Yeah, the plant did.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever been into Cornerstone's building back in the day, but it used to have a huge disco ball in the room. It's because they started at the skate center, like where the disco ball was in the middle of the room.
Cool.
Little fun fact for you there, yeah. So I'm here with them just eating it up for like a month. And then I go home, right? And then I come back in the fall, and I go home, and I tell my story to my pastor and to my youth pastor. And they're like, Greg, you gotta come get plugged in and get involved. And I still didn't know hardly anything, man. I was kind of like the Samaritan woman at the well.
Did you share all this with your parents?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. It was hard, man.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's hard to pony up and be like, I mean, it broke my mom's heart. It really crushed my mom. But they were excited, that I had gotten to a place that I surrendered to Jesus, like for real. And
they still had no idea the way you'd been
my
living.
dad did.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think my mom did. She knew I was being a knucklehead. I don't think she knew like to what extent. So, so they got plugged in. Well, then I'm coming back to Auburn, and I'm like, I have zero Christian friends. I was like, I don't know what to do, And so I was praying, I was like, hey man, bring some Christians into my life. Stephen had gone to Lakeview, and so he was like, Greg, he's like, I really believe the way Brother Al preaches the Bible, like it would benefit you greatly. Well, let's go back to, students from Lakeview were outside all the bars downtown. And
we have got to have Al Jackson on this podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know why you haven't said it before.
I don't either. I'm an idiot, Brother Al. I'm sorry. Brian Payne won't come on our podcast, so we need to get Al Jackson first.
Here's where the devil got me right out of the chute. Was I came out of those bars like laughing and chastising all those college students. And like if you would start a verse, Ben, like I would finish it for you. Just making fun of them. And I'm like, well, I do know the front doors do go to the lobby in the worship center at Lakeview, so right. I got that in my bag. Yeah. But the Satan was like, Greg, like those students that you mocked are there. They're not going to want you there. And I just remember I was like, bump that. That's not real. And I came to Lakeview by myself. I sat in the back by myself. And Brother Al started preaching, man, and I just was soaking it up, man. Because the first time in my life I'm hearing, that exegetical preaching, just going through the scriptures, and I'm just like, man, I'm eating it up, And
what's amazing, because you said earlier you grew up with that style of preaching.
Yeah.
But now you have a new mind and a new heart.
Yeah.
I remember when that change happened to me at about 16.
Yeah.
I made a profession of faith at 12, but I don't know that the Lord saved me until I was about 16. But I remember that season of hearing the preaching I'd been hearing my whole childhood.
Right.
And it going, whoa, that's the gospel.
Yeah.
And it just pouring gas onto the fire of what was happening inside.
Now I had ears to ears and eyes to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I ate it up, man. Looking back, I wish I would have gotten plugged in the college ministry. Cliff was the college pastor at the time. I think I could have benefited from that a lot. But the way my weekly schedule worked out, I wasn't available for CBS. God brought a guy, Brian Oakes, into my life in the graphic design department. Graphic design is a very liberal major, so there's not a whole lot of believers. I had 2 professors that were believers, and then Brian came into my life, and he was real active. Well, back then it was Campus Crusade for Christ, then became Crew, and now it's Onward. Bill Bolt was fairly new, and so I went to Crew on Thursday nights and just really gleaned also from Bill. And so, just really, and then Brian was like, hey, what do you think about being like prayer and accountability partners? And I was like, bro, I think I need that. He's like, yeah, you do. And so every week we would just meet, and I would just talk about the things I had learned from what I had read in Scripture, what I'd heard from Scripture, and then like, hey, and by the way, like, you know, almost like a Catholic, like, and I dropped 3 F-bombs yesterday. Brian was like, how do you feel about it? I was like, it tore me up. And he's like, good. You know what I mean? Like, if you get to a place where like that doesn't mess with you, then like we need to have some deeper conversations. Well, now let's go back to my cleanup phases. So now I'm on fire for Jesus. Man, I was all in. I kind of feel like most things I do, I'm all in. So I had...
Let me pause 1 second. I think that's an important point about the importance of confession.
Yeah.
You made the joke about like the Catholics. I think actually that we as Protestants have lost a lot of the importance of confession, almost out of fear of it becoming a work that we have to do.
Yeah.
But it is important to confess your sins to brothers, if you're a man, but to other believers. It's very important.
Yeah, James admonishes us to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, in a big way. So, man, like I said, I'm the Samaritan woman with the well, man. I don't know jack squat about the Bible, about Scripture. I can't tell you anything about, you know, amillennialism or, you know, still can't, or, you know, predestination. I couldn't read Romans 8 and go, this is what it said. But, man, I knew, like, my life was radically changed by Jesus Christ. So when I went to my friends, because I prayed for them, I had 3 friends in particular that I prayed for, and by name every day. And I'd go to my friends, and they just would laugh, you know. They'd be like, oh, Greg's on one of his cleanup phases. Mm. And, man, you talk about, like, just a gut punch, because, like, I had built that, you know, in the routine. And it took some time, and that's what one of my mentors said. He was like, Greg, just give it time, man. You know, and he read to me the passages in Acts where Paul was radically saved, and he goes to the local church, and they didn't believe it, right? I mean, for different reasons, but, like, he needed Barnabas to step in and be like, no, man, like, this is legit. So, Brian became my Barnabas, I guess, if you will, to really help me through some of that. Little side story, one of my closest friends, Jason, he had a really tough life, like upbringing. We were best friends all through, you know, older elementary, junior high school, and everything. And I really prayed for Jason a lot. He was the one that was on my heart the most. And we used to rock climb together. And so he's in Birmingham, I'm in Auburn. But we would do these weekend trips. We would all there were 4 of us. We'd rally up in Birmingham, and we'd go somewhere like South Tennessee, North Alabama, North Georgia, go rock climbing. And we had this one day that I was on the way. That's back when we had bag phones in the car, right? And I had my bag phone, and Michael called me and was like, "Hey, Greg, I can't make it, man." I was like, "Oh, that's okay, it's cool, man." So now it's just gonna be, you know, just gonna be Jason, Ryan, and me. And I get to Jason's house, and he goes, "Hey, Ryan just called and said he can't make it, so it looks like it's just the 2 of us." I was like, "Sweet." We were going up somewhere like North Alabama, South Tennessee, so I knew we had a couple-hour drive. So all of a sudden, like, I'm like the dog that catches the car and I didn't know what to do. Like, I've been praying for an opportunity to, like, share my faith with him. And it's like, I now realize, like, it's here. So he's driving and I'm in the car, and I'm like, how do I bring it up without throwing up? I don't know if you've ever been there, but, like, I didn't have any experience, like, sharing my faith. And so we're driving, and we weren't very far down the road. And I'm sure I was, like, the most awkward guy, like, ever, you know, just, I don't know what to say. I'm distracted.
It's like when you're about to propose or something.
Kind of, yeah, with different ramifications, but yeah, the same feeling for sure. And I said, so Jason goes, "Hey, Greg, this is really random, but can I ask you a question?" And I was like, "Yeah, bro." He said, "Michael and I were talking the other day, and something is different about you now. Like, what's been going on?" Bro, it's like the door. You know, I had to figure out how to open it. God literally opened it. And I was like, I kind of teared up a little bit. And I shared my story with him, right? I said, "Jason," I said, "Man, I've been radically saved." And I said, I want you to know, man, like I pray for you every day. And I pray that through all of the stuff that you had to endure growing up and the stuff that you've had to endure as a young man, that man, you would see like how good Jesus is. And he goes, cool. And man, I was so heartbroken. Like I was really hoping that, like, you know, there'd what I'm saying?
Some moment, yeah.
Great awakening would happen or whatever. Fast forward several years down the road, Ginger and I are married. Jason was at my wedding. Ginger and I are married. We're living in Birmingham, and that's back when we still had like phones on the wall, you know. And the phone in the kitchen rang, and I pick it up. And I said, hello? He goes, hey, Greg, this is Jay. I said, what up, dude? He said, man, I just want you to know, man, I went to a men's rally last night at church. And he said, I gave my life to Christ. And he said, it started on that car ride.
Praise the Lord.
You know, and I just sat there just weeping, man. And, you know, sometimes, man, you pray for people, and the other two friends of mine, I don't know where they are in the world. Like, we're connected to more people in the world. I've tried to find them. I still can't find them, and still don't know what they're doing. But, man, that's pretty special for me, man, to just see, like, you know, my life get radically saved when I didn't deserve to be, and then see that spill over into friends' lives, man. That was pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
So don't give up, man. Anybody's listening to this, man, don't give up, man. You never know. Like all those friends that were sharing with me back in the day, like it would have seemed like it was just hardened ground, but it wasn't. Like it was taking root more, I think, than they realized. And
you just don't know. You don't know what the Lord's doing.
Yeah, by God's grace, man, I got to go back to every one of those people and thank them. You know, all the people I knew that worked in my youth group and the people that shared with me, and to the best of my knowledge, everybody I've been able to tell them, like, thank you. Went back to my 10-year high school reunion, and I had some buddies there I was really looking forward to seeing. And we're sitting around this big table, you know, and everybody's catching up. You know, hey, you know, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? And I started with the guy to my right because I really wanted to be last. I don't know why, man. I was kind of looking forward to it. And, you know, it's just most of these guys just picked up right where they left off in high school. And I guess around to me, and I was like, man, my life was radically saved by Jesus. And I'm a youth pastor now. And they said a lot of explicitives and were laughing. And they go, what are you really doing? I said, for real, my life was radically changed by Jesus Christ. I'm a youth pastor now. All the guys got up but two and left the table and went somewhere else. Wow. So I tell people, if you ever meet anybody from E.B. Irwin High School in the early 90s and you tell them Greg Keys are youth pastor, they're like, there's got to be another one. There's no way that dude's a youth pastor.
They were going to, like, call and give a reference check.
Yeah. So
did you guys make a good hire?
Listen, I tell people all the time, man, like if smartphones and social media had been present when I was a teenager, I seriously doubt I would have passed a background check to serve. But yeah, so
were you doing any graphic design at that point, or
so
that just made me think the Bible talks a lot about perseverance to the end, and that is rooted in God's work on our behalf. Work out your salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you. The end of the story tells the story. And by God's grace, all that seemingly unfertile soil was just seeds being planted that people watered, and the Lord saved you. But I mean, Morgan and I have friends from in college who were faithfully walking with the Lord. Their faith was vibrant. They were serving in ministry capacities, and they're so far from the Lord now they don't even acknowledge His presence, right? And so your story is the inverse of that, but you never want to stake the claim of someone where they are right now, because you just don't know. You gotta stay vigilant and trust the Lord with your salvation, and then it may seem like an impenetrable wall, but the Lord can change a heart.
I think it really, just a little sidebar, like I think it really helped me as a youth pastor because, there's a lot of stone walls, when you're teaching and preaching. There's a lot going on. Even the best of teenagers, man, like life is just really challenging. You know, you have the hormonal thing that's going on. Man, like peers are brutal. As teenagers, and parents are trying to figure out how to parent. So there's probably like a lot of frustrating moments that are happening in the home. There's just a lot that's going on. And, man, as a youth pastor, I just, like, God would constantly remind me of my story. And it was like, Greg, like, just keep faithfully loving them. Keep faithfully teaching and preaching God's word, because, like, you never know. Like, you just never know. And, Yeah, and so that helped. But yeah, so to your question, Ben, so finished out in graphic design, probably my last year in school. One of the guys who had kind of been instrumental in me coming to faith in Christ, Stephen, he was a youth pastor up in Lynette. He and his wife had gotten married, and he was a youth pastor up in Lynette. He had me come up there, share my story, and help out with stuff like a D-Now weekend, a trip, or whatever. I don't know what he was thinking, man. I was so green in my faith, man. I wouldn't have trusted me to be a chaperone, but he had me come up there, and then I met my wife, like 5 weeks before I was graduating. Kind of a funny story there too. She had already graduated from Auburn 2 years prior. She was teaching in Auburn City Schools, and I knew I was either going to Birmingham or Charlotte. Those were the two places where I was looking. And because of my life prior to Jesus, I was like, I need to get a lot of things in my life right before I enter into another relationship, because I had a lot of ungodly relationships prior to that. And so I wasn't dating anybody. Now, that doesn't mean I wasn't attracted to anybody. There were plenty of people I was interested in, but I was like, I feel like I need to become a man of God first. I just really felt that. So I was coming to Lakeview by myself. Ginger's my wife. She has a younger sister that we were friends in high school because we went to high school together. She didn't know me because she's older, but I knew her younger sister. Well, I sat in the back because I was there by myself. They sat in the back because they're historically late to everything. And so they came in, and Jane saw me. She's like, oh, my gosh, it's Greg. And so she and Ginger are sitting there. So we would interact with them and stuff, and they would go eat after church and things like that, and I was never able to go with them. And so but I was really, really interested. And so in that spring, I'm working out with a guy, Jason, who's in graphic design, and hang on to what you said a second ago about artists. And I'm working out, and I'm talking, and Jason goes, Greg, I'm so sick of this. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, bro, you have to ask this girl out. I was like, Jason, I'm graduating in like 5 weeks. Like, she's already living here working. Like, what's the point? And he was like, you're not marrying the girl. Just go out with her a couple times and have fun. And I was like, nah, bro, I can't do that. He goes, Greg, if you don't ask her out this weekend, on Monday, I'm telling everybody in Biggin Hall you're gay. And that's why you haven't been dating anybody. I was like, bro, you cannot do that. You can't do that. And he was like, I 100% will. And he 100% would have. So now all weekend, I'm like,
got some pressure.
Dude, what if she went home for the weekend? Or like, what if she was out of town,
You're
So,
toast.
So I show up Sunday morning, and by God's grace, she's there at Lakeview. Guess what I did?
Asked her out?
No, I chickened out.
Oh.
I was so nervous. I couldn't do it, man. I'm him hauling around.
Did he pull through? Did he follow through?
Well, at Lakeview, we have Sunday night services. So I got a little bit. Got a second chance.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, Lord, I know I'm not supposed to pray and make deals.
Timeline is ticking.
I'm not going to do one. But if she shows up tonight, that'd be pretty awesome. That saved me a lot of explaining. She's late. So, I mean, we're like 20 minutes in. She's not there.
About to be the gay guy. And
bro, right? I can't focus on the sermon. I'm too nervous. I'm ready to puke. I was like, good thing there's tile under the pews because they're going to have to mop this stuff up, man. I'm about to throw up. So she comes in. I'm like, yes. So I asked her out after the service, and she didn't know it was a date because I just was like, hey, would you like to grab dinner one night this week? She's like, yeah, sure. Well, what I didn't know is she has like this huge friend network, this huge social network, and she goes and grabs dinner with people like all the time. And so I 100% thought it was a date. And so she's talking to her sister about it. And her sister was
I'm sure there's a lot of those other dinners that they thought it was dates too.
That's
I
right.
guarantee you. Yeah. Thankfully, she didn't think those were dates either.
My wife was very similar to that.
Yeah.
And like, I remember one of the first, times we went out or something, and I asked her about 2 or 3 guys that I knew that had taken her out. Like, why didn't anything work out there? She's, we just went to like dinner. Like, we're just friends. I'm like, no, you not in their eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, so we went out, and bro, she floored me, man. Like after the first date, we're talking.
The first dinner.
Yeah, the first dinner at Chili's, which is now El Jefe's on Opelika Road, and so afterwards, I'm dropping her off, and she was like, "Well, hey, when I'm praying this week, how can I pray for you?" Like I had never had a relationship like that, and I'm like mesmerized, like the cartoons. They just spin in circle of hearts, and everything's getting all hazy, and I'm just like, I was enamored.
What did you say?
I was floored in a good way. In a good way. That's
pray that we get married one day.
That's what she stole my heart, man. It really is. It really is. And so, by God's grace, we just celebrated 27 years of marriage this summer. So,
congrats.
but we go.
Not to age you, but I just celebrated my 27th birthday.
You're the man. You're the man. It's okay. I know I'm unk. It's all right. I ain't worried about it. I just want to be the most active 51-year-old that most people meet. But anyway, so
on that note, I've been sitting over here trying to do some mental math in my head.
Yeah,
I couldn't figure out how old you were and how old Bill Bolt was. The fact that he was doing college ministry when you were there, I didn't realize he was that old.
I have to confess, I really feel like Bill and I are only a couple of years apart.
But he was doing college ministry.
Yeah, my recollection is he probably was in his mid-20s.
You think he was straight out?
Because his kiddos were babies.
You could be a college minister.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. If I were to guess, if I just were to say, hey, Greg, take a bet, I'm thinking probably just 3, 4, 5 years, maybe.
Okay.
Now, he may be way older because he's such daggum good shape.
Just because Caleb's kind of old.
Yeah.
And Caleb Farrow, and Kevin Webb's kind of old.
Yeah. Kevin's real old. Yeah. And so...
Not all college pastors are old, just some of the ones locally.
Yeah. So I graduate. I take a job in Birmingham because that's the closest to Ginger instead of Charlotte. And my buddy Steven invites Ginger and me both to come and chaperone at their summer retreat. And I absolutely loved it. I mean, it was in my bones, man. And we're on that trip, and we're driving back, and Ginger goes, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing student ministry?" And I was like, what? Because I'm I'm a graphic designer.
The job you took is graphic design in Birmingham?
Yeah, it was for a design firm.
With Lucky? Or
this one was with Details Communications.
Okay.
Yeah. I specifically went with Details. They were a smaller firm. Both the co-founders were both really solid believers. One of them was one of the early families involved in the Church of Brook Hills church plant in Birmingham. The creative director was also a believer. So, even though I'm in a secular market, I still am a fairly young believer at this point in time. I think God really opened that door for me to have a great environment. You know what I'm saying? As a young believer. And so, no, in my mind, I'm thinking hey, I'm just going to be, a graphic designer, and then I'll be the youth ministry volunteer like all those guys were with me, And she said that, and I was like, what? I was like, no, come on, man. So that got on my radar. And then all that summer, and all that fall, it just kind of got on my radar, And, but I was like, but I love my job in graphic design. And I was volunteering at my home church under my own youth pastor. It was very nostalgic, And so in the spring, I went to do a D-Now for my buddy Steven. And while I was at that D-Now, I felt like God was like, Greg, you could do this. Vocational ministry, doing student ministry. So it was kind of funny. I told you I have tons of stories. It was kind of funny that last night they have a big response time. So I responded. I came forward and I kind of kneeled down over on the corner, and I basically just said, all right, God, I'm giving you a blank check. Whatever you want to do with my life, I'm down for whatever. And just surrendered to whatever he wanted from me, right? Well, my small group guys thought I had given my life to Christ. And so my high school guys are sitting there going, I think our leader just went forward to get saved.
This guy can't decide what he's doing.
Looking back now, you could see where that would be kind of awkward, right? Yeah. And so we get back to the house, and these guys are just weird. They're acting weird. They're not making eye contact with me. They're not talking to me. So finally I just said, guys,
what's going on?
What's going on? So one guy goes, all right, Mr. Gregg, we got a question for you. I was like, what's up? And they were like, did you get saved tonight? I was like, it took me a second. And I was like, oh, no. Let me tell you what happened. And so I told them my story, and they're like, that was really odd. So at that point in time, I was like, hey, yeah, whatever you want, God. And so at the time, gosh, who was the author? He had written a series of books where he wrote a book on kind of pillars of the Bible, men of the Bible, Moses, Elijah. But he had one on David, right? And First and Second Samuel was always my dad's favorite books of the Bible. He and I discussed King David and his life story a lot. And so I was reading through there, and the because I was like, I just felt like, okay, well, if I surrender to God, then like the next day something opens up. And it was like, nothing ever did. I was like, well, what does this mean? Didn't know what it meant. So the author of this book pointed out in David's timeline, like he was anointed to be king when he was a teenager, but he didn't actually take the throne until he was like a grown man.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, just because God like kind of puts something on your heart doesn't mean like the next day you step into that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of a good point. So I was like, what do I do next? And Ginger and I had gotten engaged that spring to be married.
I want to pause. I think that's such a applicable point for today's context because, especially for younger people listening, but I think at this point, almost all of us are prone to this with just the instant gratification of our time. I think even solid believers who think of it as a calling, when they think of something positive, it's like, it's got to happen now. It's like there's no room for growth or patience or sanctification or wisdom even. It's just kind of like, we got to go. We got to go now. Yeah. I think that's an interesting point you brought up.
It's a great, no, it's perfect. I'm glad you said that because like later on down the road when I was evaluating kind of the timeline of how this stuff unfolded, I was reading through when Paul's talking about the qualifications of like church leadership, like pastors and elders and stuff. And one of the things he mentions is like don't be so hasty to anoint and appoint a pastor who's new in their faith because you know, they could easily fall prey to things like pride and stuff like that. And I'll be honest with you, Ben, like looking back, like had something open that next day, because I'm still like 2 years, if that, into my walk with Jesus. Like I was not as far along as I thought I was. Mm-hmm. And it's like looking back, like I'm really, really grateful that God's timeline unfolded. I mean, duh. But I'm seriously like I didn't see it at the moment, but it's like that needed to happen. Right. I really needed to mature, both in my faith as well as just as a person. And so
that's the beauty of looking back too, though. Yeah. I mean, that's like what we've seen so much through doing all these episodes is he is sovereign and he was weaving all that together. And you may not see it in the moment, but that is, I mean, his plan was better and is better and will be better.
Amen.
And that's the beauty of us going through all of these stories. Is just hearing, that was clearly what he had.
Yeah, you know what I haven't heard a story on an episode yet is God being unfaithful to somebody.
I don't think you ever will.
Yeah. That's right.
But oftentimes when we're young and we're immature, either in life or in our faith, it's really hard to see that. You know?
Totally.
And now that you guys are parents of small kids, and you see that in parenting.
And for Christians, myself included, you will often feel as though God is distant or absent, or you don't like what he's doing, you don't like the circumstances that you're in. And you will always look back and see how it was perfect.
Yes.
And it was exactly what was necessary for the time. But in the moment, it can feel painful rather than pleasant.
It really can.
It's also, it's so much easier to see it in others.
Yes.
You know, like when we read all the Old Testament, you're like, okay, Israelite, come on. I mean,
right.
Everything he's done for you, you're going to turn away. And it's so obvious. And even in modern times, you'd listen to someone share their story. You're like, you didn't see that? In your own life, it's so much harder.
Yeah.
Another thought, I had this thought earlier and thinking about the Old Testament brought it back to me. I loved when you mentioned that you have the ribbons framed as a reminder to yourself. We just finished Joshua in a men's group I'm in today.
Yeah.
And all the different times in Joshua that they put up the stones of remembrance or they put up an altar. I think, you know.
Shout out, Jeff.
Yeah, that's right. Living stones. I love that you have that to remind you because I think it is easy to forget, and we almost have to have some sort of way to remember the good things the Lord has done in our lives.
One of my greatest convictions as a parent is when I audibly say, how many times do I have to tell you this? And then I go, it's as though the Lord is speaking through my audible voice
you through your
to
parenting.
me and going, hey, idiot, look in the mirror.
Yeah. Listen, I tell people, so my greatest go-to in the Bible, both teaching, preaching, studying, is going to be those historical passages. So Old Testament, Gospels, Acts, like I just love those because I don't know, man, like the way I read the scripture, I can just naturally see like everyday like application. And I read it with such a judgmental and condemning spirit of those knuckleheads and those foolish people. And I absolutely hate when the Holy Spirit shows up and interrupts my personal judgment time. It's like, okay, Greg, well, what about you? And I'm like,
that's not what I'm here for.
Please go away and come back tomorrow. I'm feeling really good right now.
Yes.
Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, as a teaching pastor, like, I would be doing sermon prep and I would have to stop. And even now, like a couple of years ago, I was preparing for Venture Weekend, and the Lord, like, really drilled down deep and revealed some, like, resentment and some unforgiveness in my heart that I didn't know was there. And I had to just stop, and I had to deal with it, and I had to sit, and I had to repent, and I had to confess. And I was like, and it happens in parenting too. Yeah. So God's
I'm
good.
figuring that out already.
Yeah, God's good all the time. God is good all the time. Yeah. So Ginger and I got married, and we started going to church at Hunter Street Baptist Church in Birmingham. And Terry Slay, I don't know if you ever met Andrew or Anna Slay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So their dad.
The funny sidebar, I just said, again. Brian mentioned his name recently because he just got a position
in New Orleans.
Maybe Brother Al did.
Yeah.
But I pulled his number up because he was an athletic trainer in
Correct.
the Watson Fieldhouse, and we met 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
And I still had his number, and the last text I sent him was in like 2018.
That's crazy.
And so I texted him and I said, congrats on this new position. But so I know Andrew. I don't know.
Yeah, so their dad was the high school pastor there.
Okay.
And kind of an OG of youth ministry. Ann and Andrew were little, preschoolers at the time. And Ginger and I are going to church there. I'm helping him in the youth ministry. And I was like, I told Ginger, I said, I think this is what I want to do. It's been on my heart for a while. But I want to talk to her because I was like, you didn't marry a pastor, right? You married a graphic designer. And she was like, no, Greg. She goes, in my church growing up, she went to a really healthy, like, charismatic church growing up. She's like, at a church growing up when I was like a teenager, this woman in the church that I had a lot of respect for came up to me and said, Ginger, I think one day you're going to be a pastor's wife. She had never told me that. She had never told me that. And I was like, what? And so I was like, all right, well, let's do it. So now I'm like, now what? Well, just so happens my buddy Steven, that was instrumental in me coming to faith in Christ, he was in Birmingham, and New Orleans was trying this new thing called the Extension Center. Back in the day, Al Gore had just barely invented the internet. Little dumb joke there. Yep. And there wasn't any seminary that was doing remote learning. And New Orleans was trying one in Atlanta.
Can I digress one second?
Yeah, go ahead.
My young self.
Yeah.
I've heard that joke.
Yeah.
5,000 times. I don't even know what it means, though. What does it mean?
Go for it, Blaine.
I don't either. I just know.
I can. I was alive when it happened.
I mean, I remember Al Gore, vice president candidate.
Yeah, vice president of Bill Clinton.
I know who Al Gore is.
Climate change and all that, but I don't know where the joke originated.
Yeah,
Isn't it funny how there are jokes like that out there? That, like, you say it, and I just laugh because I know it's supposed to be funny, but I'm kind of like, what?
No, I get it. No, he in a public setting, he claimed that he was the guy who concepted the internet and invented the internet, and everybody's like, you're so full of it. Sidebar, my favorite Al Gore moment was somebody asking about his faith, because he also, at the time, professed to be a believer too. And he said, oh, yeah, my faith is very near and dear to me. He was like, John 16:3 is a very, like big verse in my life. Well, I have slip-ups all the time, right? I call my kids the wrong names or whatever. But if you read John 16:3, it says, they will do these things because they never knew me nor my Father. Ooh. Shazam! Couldn't be more perfect. So anyway, to go back to that, Stephen was like, well, hey, I was like, I'm married. I've got a house with a house payment. I'm working full time. I was like, I can't uproot all of that and go back to school and be like a seminary student. And so Stephen was like, well, hey, man, he's like, New Orleans has these extension centers where it's built for guys like you that are working. And they have a track where they had classes like all day on Monday, or they have like Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night. And I was like, oh, man, dude. And I thought, well, let me sign up for some of those, because I thought at the very worst, like, what's the worst that could happen studying the Bible? Like, you were talking about that with Aaron, right? Yeah. About, and I remember Stephen was like, Greg, like, at the worst, like, what's wrong with taking like hermeneutics classes or Old Testament classes or theology classes?
Learn more for your own study.
That's what he said. He was like, dude, if that never comes to fruition, like, at least you're like
a better Sunday school leader,
growing in your faith. Yeah, because I'm still new in my faith. So I was like, bro, let's do it. So I signed up for like 2 classes, and I started going at night. So I'm working full time. Ginger and I are young married, and I think I took like 1 class on Tuesday, 1 class on Thursday.
And they were here, or you had to go to Atlanta?
It was in Birmingham.
Oh,
yeah, okay. So I was in Birmingham. Sorry.
And the classes were there?
Yeah. Okay. So I was working in Birmingham and Homewood. That's where the graphic design firm was. And at the time, the extension center met at Lakeside, right off the interstate. So it was actually pretty close.
Yeah.
We lived by Oak Mountain State Park, so all of it was really convenient for me.
Yeah.
So I started going to classes, and then out of the blue, Terry Slay takes me to lunch that fall. And he goes, hey, Greg, I have 2 associate ministry positions, and one of them just quit. And I want you to prayerfully consider coming on staff with me to do youth ministry. And I was like, Terry, isn't that like a part-time job that you hire like college students? He's like, yeah, but I still want you to prayerfully consider it, and I was like, at the time, I think it was like $5,000 a year, working like 25 hours a week. And I was like, bro, like
that math doesn't matter.
I'm like married. You know what I mean? Like I have a house, and I was like, let me talk to Ginger. So I talked to Ginger, and, by God's grace, like we were in a good spot financially. Like both of us had made some really wise financial decisions. And so we were in a good spot financially. I mean, we weren't living high on the hog, but like, we were blessed beyond most of our peers to not carry a lot of debt going into marriage. And so she goes, well, just pray about it. She's like, you love Terry. You love 100th Street. Like, you're already working with those kids. And I was like,
this is like, this reminds me of Taylor Teal.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, I kind of need you to shut this thing down. But she wasn't going to. And so I talked to my dad. My dad's been the greatest influence in my life. And I talked to my dad. I was like, Pop, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, Greg, I know you don't want to work for me. And he said, but I can bid more jobs, and you can come to work for me just while you're going to school until something pans out. I can do that. And I was like, okay. And so I prayed about it. And, bro, it was like the first time I'd ever felt peace about making, like, a really big decision. And so I remember walking into Details Communications one day that fall, and I was like, I'm either changing my work structure here or I'm turning in my 2 weeks' notice. And, man, I was about ready to throw up. I don't know why I put myself in these positions. I was
about to say, this is not the first we've heard you say this.
I think this is just a personal problem because you're going in very confidently and clear in what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And you just need to be the boss.
Well, maybe. Here's what I decided early on. I decided, here's what I want to be on my tombstone one day. You ready?
Oh, I've been waiting on this.
Here lies a man who rose early the next morning and saddled his donkey. For 2 reasons. One, I'm weird. I want somebody to be standing in a graveyard and you ever get bored and you just start wandering around and you're looking at these tombstones and look at that and be like, what in the Sam Hill is that? It's from Abraham and Isaac. Isaac was the son of promise. Abraham had waited a long time for this son. And when he got into adulthood, God said, Abraham, I need you to sacrifice your son. And the next verse says, and Abraham rose early the next morning and saddled his donkey. And I was like, I want to be the dude that just obeys God, even if it doesn't make sense. I just want to be known as a dude that obeys God. Now, obviously, I don't bat 1,000. Nobody this side of heaven does, but that's what I want. So I was like, all right, I feel like God laid this on my heart months ago, gave me a wife that backs it, gave me a dad that gave me a job opportunity if need be. I have 2 bosses that are believers. One started a pretty big church plant in Birmingham. Let's do it. And so I walk in, I talked to Brian and Jesse, and they said, okay. They said, well, right now we don't need any part-time designers. I was like, I know. And they said, give us 24 hours. Let's talk about it. Let's pray about it. We'll get back to you. I was like, okay. It's kind of like, you ever get in trouble with your mom when your dad's at work, and she's like, just wait till your dad gets home?
Oh, that's the worst.
And you have all that time. Like, I totally expected to walk out of there with a decision. So now I got to go home and try to sleep. So I came out the next day, and they said, Greg, if you'll give us 3 days a week, we'll take your salary, we'll turn it into an hourly wage. We'll have to remove your benefits, like paid vacation, stuff like that. And I said, that'd be awesome. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, I worked at Details Communications. Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, I worked at the church. And then I started taking seminary classes Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night. Taking 4 classes, yeah. And Saturday was the only day I had off. And I remember Ginger and I would, we would eat dinner. We'd hang out for a little while. She'd go to bed, and then I would stay up studying and doing my work. And so I was like, hey, I'm in my mid-20s. I'm going to take advantage of this metabolism. I didn't have children at the time. I wanted to work really hard to get done before I had kids. So I don't know what I averaged in sleep, maybe 4 or 5 hours a night. And so, but man, by God's grace, dude, like, it was perfect. It was really perfect for me. And like the whole time I was working at Hunter Street, I was like, this is what I want to do for a living. And Terry mentored me, incredible guy, and even like helping me try to find jobs. So I got to be there for about a year. And there was a church that he had found in Hueytown, Alabama, which is like west Birmingham. There was looking for a student pastor, like youth in college. It was full time. And he goes, Greg, you should apply for this job. I was like, Terry, I kind of like what I'm doing, man. He's like, we don't raise you up to stay. We raise you up to send you out. And I was like, well, okay, all right. So I went and interviewed with Brother Doug, and man, they offered me the job, and I took it. I don't know why they offered me the job, but they did. And so I got to go all in, man. So I did 3 years at Details Communications, and then I went all in doing student ministry, did youth in college, and man, I grew a lot. Brother Doug was really long in the tooth. Like, he had been there for a long time. He had been in ministry for a long time. He kind of was like the perfect pastor for me to serve under. It was a smaller church. We only had like 3 full-time staff members. We probably had about 450, 500, members on Sunday morning that would come to worship. And God, he was so good, man. He was so gracious to me, and he was so good, man. He helped point out landmines, and then he helped sew my leg back on when I stepped on some, But deep in our spirit, like Ginger and I always knew, like, we want to come back to Auburn. Lakeview's where we connected. Hal Cooper, married us. We had that deep connection. And so I was about a year in at North Highlands, and one of the young ladies that Ginger had mentored and discipled at Lakeview called her up and said, hey, our youth pastor just resigned. He's going on the mission field, and we want Greg to apply for the youth pastor. So I get home, Ginger tells me this, and I'm like, heck to the yeah, let's go. Well, I'm from the business world where you call and you put in your resume and you talk to people, right? You take the initiative to go for a job. I didn't know at the time that Brother Al is adversely opposed to that he hates that. He thinks somebody else should put your resume in for you. It'd be nice if I had a heads up, but I didn't. So I called Brother Al. He had met me because we had to interview with him in order for a staff member to do our wedding, right?
Okay.
So this is going to be good. I think you might. I think you're really going to like where this is going. So I call him, and when I tell this story, people need to know, like, Brother Al and I are so close because I got a chance to serve on staff with him for so long. And if you've never met him, and I know Aaron shared a little bit about, like, he's gnawing on the corn, like, all right, boys, tell me your story, right? So anyway, I called Brother Al and said, Brother Al, this is Greg Key. And he was like, okay, do I know you? I was like, well, yes, sir. I married Ginger Wheat. I met you, when we got married. He goes, oh, yeah. We met at that mall food court. Yes, sir, we sure did. He goes, okay, what's up, Greg? I said, well, hey, man, I heard that youth ministry just left for the mission field, and I want to know, could I send you my resume? And he was like, how old are you? And I told him, and he said, have you done seminary? I was like, well, I'm currently in seminary, about halfway through. You done any ministry work? Yeah, so 1 year part-time, 1 year full-time. And at the time, Blaine, like, everybody on staff was the same age as my dad, right? and so he was like, well, why are you calling? I said, well, I just want to know, like, can I send you my resume? He goes, well, Greg, I'll be honest with you. You're not what we're looking for. And I said, I kind of figured that. And I said, but could I send you my resume anyway? I said, God does some cool stuff. He goes, well, I can't stop you from sending your resume. All right. Well, hey, thanks for taking the time with me. He's like, you bet. God bless. Click. Ginger's like, well, I was like, yeah, I don't think we're going to Lakeview. This was like fall of 2001.
That's
right?
Awesome.
So I was like, all right, hey, God's faithful. I'm just going to keep plugging away. I like where I'm at. God's doing good stuff, going through seminary. Micah's born that next spring, my oldest son, and he's a little baby. And we're going to the beach. My in-laws had some beach houses down in Fort Morgan at the time. We're going to the beach with them, and we're like, hey, let's go through Auburn. There's tons of families here that we haven't seen in a while. Let's go. Let's take all the, traditional pictures of our baby in front of Sanford Clock Tower and the tiger in front of the hotel and conference center. We're that couple. And we'll go to church at Lakeview on Sunday, and then we'll head on down to the beach. So, man, we had dinner with some buddies of ours Friday night at Niffers. He's like, Greg, we're still looking for a youth pastor. And I was like, yeah, well, I already called Brother Al. And he
Let me tell
explicitly
you how
said,
that went.
like, it didn't go well. He goes, I'm going to call him when I get home. I said, okay. Next day, we saw people that were deacons, personnel committee members, pastors, not on purpose. Like, these were just people that Ginger and I knew, and they all said the same thing. And I was like, no, it's all right. So Sunday morning, we go to Lakeview, and we're chatting with people, and Ginger went to say hey to Brother Al, and he said, and he shook my hand. I said, hey, man. I said, how's it going? He said, good. He goes, you called me a while back, didn't you? I was like, yes, sir, my bad. I didn't. I felt like I kind of intruded. I didn't mean to. He said, no, it's all right. It's all right. He goes, you still in seminary? I was like, well, I got one more semester this fall. I got 2 more classes, and then I'll be finished. And he goes, okay.
That was it?
That's it, yeah. I said, all right, well, hey, y'all have a great week, man. And so we headed to the beach, right? And my father-in-law had 2 beach houses right next to each other. And here's what you got to know. My father-in-law, our term of endearment for him was dude, right? And we didn't call him dad. We called him dude. That's what he wanted to be called. So
love that.
Phone rings. I pick it up, and I hear a voice on the other line go, is this Greg Key? I thought it was my father-in-law. And I said, hey, dude, what's going on? He goes, I knew you'd love this. He goes,
oh my goodness. This is just delightfully awkward.
He goes, this is Al Jackson from Lakeview Baptist Church. My father-in-law, I swear, was messing with me. And I go, yeah, I'm Billy Graham. Do you need me to come preach a revival? And there's just this awkward silence.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Ginger's there with Micah. She's like, who is that? I was like, it's your dad. And I was like, hey, dude. I was like, what you need, man? Like, because he would call me to come, like, help him, like, with projects and stuff on the houses. I said, you need my help, or you need Ginger, you need Jane? Like, what's going on? And there's just this pause. And he goes, well, I was trying to reach Greg. And I was like, yeah, it's who you got. And he goes, well, this is Al Jackson from Lakeview Baptist Church. And on that one, I realized it wasn't my father-in-law, it was Brother Al. And I just instantly panicked. Like, my stomach is in knots.
This is 20-something years later. I feel awkward sitting here for you.
And I'm like, I just called him dude twice and just mocked him saying I was Billy Graham. I was like, any hope I had to go to Lakeview is now completely gone.
Toast.
And I said, how did you get this number? Like, this is like a rental house. He's like, I don't know. I just told my secretary to come find you. And she came back with a phone number. And he goes, I just want to know, are you still interested in the youth minister position?
Give him the full context of what
just
occurred?
Later.
In the moment, you just
no,
let it go?
I was frozen. I didn't know what to say. I don't know if I had wet myself or crapped myself or both, but I was mortified.
Yeah. That's so good.
Anybody listening, this is not a way to get your dream job, is to mock the person calling you for the interview. So by God's grace, I think they had expended all of their options, and I was the only one left. And my resume was sitting there. And apparently all those people we had met with called him and were like, Al, like, has it been like 10, 11 months since they had a youth pastor, right? And so he's like, do you want to come? You still want to come interview? I was like, heck yeah, I do. So I came down and I interviewed with the Lakeview Sanhedrin for like 6.5 hours. And I had never had an interview like that. I mean, it was like 7 of the staff, and I just was like, oh, my Lanta. And so, and then I came back down, and then it came in view of a call, and he was like, all right, I want you to start in 2 weeks. I was like, brother, I have like a baby and a house. Like, I have all this stuff. Like, I can't start in like 2 weeks. And he's like, well, the school year's starting. I want you here by September 1. I was like, okay. I was like, I got a house. And he's like, I'll find you somewhere to live. My man picks up the phone and starts dialing church members who had like guest houses. And he was like, hey, we got a young man coming as youth pastor. And he's got a wife and a little baby. Can they stay with you until they find a house? And he found a couple that were like Bill and Glory Jackson. They were like, yeah, for sure. And so I'm like, okay. Right. So I turned in my 2 weeks notice. Fortunately, my father-in-law was in real estate. He's like, I'll sell your house. No biggie. So we packed up and we moved to Auburn, and we're staying in this barn of a guest house. And I started on September 1. And I started the same day as Kevin. Kevin started as a seminary intern. I started as the youth pastor.
That's cool.
That's why we're so close.
I cannot believe the way that went without Jackson.
It's Billy Graham.
I mean, and just of all people in the world I love Brother Al so much, but just very intimidating, very serious, very direct, and
I thought I'd screwed up so bad.
Unemotional.
I really did. Yeah. Here's why I love and respect him enough, man, is if he ever pays you a compliment, like, it's legit. Like, he does not fluff. He does not brown nose. he is very legitimate. And also too, like if he talks to you about a topic or a passage, like you know exactly where he stands. Mm-hmm. I love it, man. Like I really am like a what you see is what you get kind of guy. It's very immature, but it's like what you see is what you get. And I really respect that, man. I'm a big fan of authenticity. And he was really good for me. It was really good to work underneath him, man. We were like oil and water, bro. So I mean, but in a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way.
And you were youth pastor at Lakeview for
15 years.
That's great.
Yeah. I loved it, man.
What years was that?
So I started in September 2002. Aaron and I passed the torch like May-ish of 2017. Yep. So almost a full 15 years, yeah.
And what were you called to then?
Yeah, so I really felt like, you know, like all athletes, like the game's done with them before they're done with the game kind of thing. Youth ministry in my bones. I just chaperoned summer retreat a couple of weeks ago. I'm sleeping in the bunk next to Aaron, and I'm like riding on a bus with teenagers. All my coworkers are like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "What's wrong with you?" It's awesome. I love it. I love student ministry, man. It's in my bones, and I didn't want to leave, but I felt like the time was probably drawing near for various reasons. And Brother Allen and I was friends with the chairman of the personnel committee at the time, and they both approached me and they said, "Hey, we don't have a media ministry at Lakeview, and we feel like it's time to start something like that." They realized that technology was starting to be immersed into the life of the church. You know, the internet had taken off to where, you know, sermons and services and stuff could be online for people. You know, Brother Al's thinking about all of our missionaries that serve in restricted access countries that are removed from a local church that they can worship and that kind of thing. So they were like, "Would you be interested in spearheading that?" And so I was like, well, here's my two loves. Like I've been freelance graphic designing the whole time. I've been in vocational ministry, and I kind of saw it as like both of those worlds like coming together. And I was like, yeah, let's do it, man. And so I had to sit my kids down and tell them. My daughter was in 6th grade at the time, and she was really looking forward to me being her youth pastor. And I was dipping out in May when she was coming up in June. And man, I had to sit there and watch her just like be a little bit heartbroken, you know, about that. That was hard. You know, you'll soon find out, you know, that, I mean, your little girl's your little girl, man.
Oh my goodness.
You know, and so
I already know, and I'm sure it gets stronger.
Yeah. And, but I knew like, hey, like Aaron had interned with me that semester. I mean, at the time he was just the interim, like he wasn't like the real youth pastor, but I knew the people that they were talking to, and I knew the people they were considering. I was like, baby, you're gonna be just fine, man. You're gonna be just fine. So she still likes to give me a hard time about it. She still likes to twist that knife a little bit, and now she's smiling.
As she should.
Yeah, as she should. Yeah. So I did that. Yeah. So I had never spearheaded a new position before. That was new for me. I had only taken jobs of pre-existing positions. So for that whole first year, I joke and say, like, every conversation started with, "Hey, I don't know if this is part of your new job or not." And my answer always started with, "Yeah, I don't either." But let's figure it out together. So I did media, man. So it was like everything was so like fragmented. Everybody had their own social media accounts, their own websites, their own this, their own that. And man, we brought that all under one. And so my background in marketing and design and everything, like, man, I was eating it up. Like, just let's bring it all in to be uniformed and design and everything. And so, yeah, I got to spearhead that. And then 3 years later, this world pandemic happened called COVID. And we weren't ready for it, to be honest with you. Like, we weren't live streaming. We had like one camera that we recorded the services on. And then I did all the post-production like after the fact.
Blaine likes that you weren't live streaming.
Yeah, praise the Lord. I wish we would have just had the balls to just.
Well, you know what's? Yeah, well, we can go down that road because to be honest with
hindsight
you,
is foresight.
Well, to be honest with you, like it very much was in its origin a necessity, and we did not think it would be permanent. Like
sure.
Like Brother Al nor I, either one thought it would be permanent, but we were like, we have to do something. Like, we can have 7 people in the room, 3 of them in their sound booth, one's behind the pulpit, and one's behind the piano. Mm-hmm. That means you can get 2 more people in the room. So it's like, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so we did it out of necessity, but we always thought we would go back to what we used to do. And then with all the variants, Omicron, Delta, you know, back quarantine, you know, all this, that, and the other,
Such a wild period of time looking back.
Dude, it was bizarre. And you know what, Ben? I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, I still can't fathom, like, you really saw people like go tooth and nail over hanging their hat on free will with their church services. I mean, like openly rebellion, like not just at Lakeview. I'm saying like in the community, because all of us were having conversations with each other. Like you have medical people and you have people of great wisdom, like giving you counsel, and the congregation's like, we don't care. Like you can't make us like sit apart from each other, wear a mask, like do whatever, you know. And bro, like we got chastised and we got accused of like not loving the Lord, not loving the body of believers. Like you wouldn't believe these people that claim the name of Christ and like what they posted about us and said about us and just raked us over the coals. And like we as a staff and a leadership team, man, we would just be weeping like, man, we're just trying to honor the Lord.
Yeah.
And we're trying to keep our people safe. I mean, most of the congregations we know have people dying in groves because of this virus. And I was like, it's not a political scam. Like this thing is like for real. You know what I mean? And so all that to say is like so many people's jobs, like COVID really changed the nature, and it really did mine. You know, that job really turned into more of like audio tech, live stream, you know, and I was like, okay, we're not going back, you know, and man, I don't know if you've had conversations with Brother Al and others, but like, man, it was a tall order to wrestle with. It was for sure. I don't think people gave a lot of church leadership enough credit for how much they really pursued the Lord to do the wise thing in how they came back from the pandemic. I think everybody just threw shots because it was easy. You know what I mean? So
it was just a weird time.
It was.
I mean, I have pictures that man. I just one day my kids are going to think are so weird. Like of being a student at Auburn, and it was when they wouldn't allow for the football season, only students could go, and you had to go in like groups of two and sit all the way around Jordan Hare. So it's like a picture of me. Yeah. There's a football game being played below. The stadium is pretty much empty.
There's
I'm
nobody
just with
inside.
one friend in a mask on, and it's like, what were we doing?
Yeah, my oldest son, Micah, that was his freshman year, and he went to games with his roommate. Yeah. And all the pictures of him and Bronson either with like a mask hanging from their ear so they could smile or like on. And there's like nobody next to them.
It was weird. Weird times.
Yeah, it was. But man, I
think there was a period where like we were instructed to not sing audibly.
That's right.
Like we could hum.
Yeah, the holy hum. Is what it got tagged. Yeah.
Let me say explicitly, I did not obey that rule.
But at the time,
I don't think you were alone.
There was a lot of people that are kind of like, okay, maybe there's something to this. I'm not saying everyone, but like that was not as wild at the time as it is looking back now. That we're kind of like, a holy hum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was hard.
You know, we can move on.
No, please.
The Sunday, March 13th is when the world shut down. Whatever Sunday was before that was probably the last time we ever held hands across the aisle to finish our service. Yeah. And I remember, I cannot remember who it was.
Y'all haven't gone back? Y'all still don't do that?
No, it died. It died March whatever of that day.
Wow. I was so happy for that to go away, if I'm being honest.
So, oh, that's hilarious.
Hey, keep going. But I want to come back to that because I want to tell you one of the funniest things I saw as a youth pastor. I was closing the service like belly laughing. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is March 8th, 2020. I know that's the day it is.
Yeah.
I go to shake some guy's hand during the welcome time.
Yeah.
Probably around 60 years old. And we could just pretend. So I come in and go, good morning, how are you?
Yeah.
And he gives me the most aggressive forearm grab.
Bro, let's go. He's pulling you out of the pit, Blaine.
And I started looking, and he's doing this to everyone, and I was like, that guy's not touching hands. It's legit. And
he was okay. So he was already on his radar.
He was already in it.
I got you.
So maybe it was March 13th was a Friday. Maybe it was the 15th.
Yeah. No,
but I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, just shake my hand. Like, go wash your hands if you're scared of my germs.
Yeah, just go wash your hands, man.
That handshake changed my world.
That's
and
crazy.
I didn't know it in the moment.
I was on spring break when it hit from Auburn, and we were down, a group of my friends, we went to work at the beach for spring break, and it's such a funny, memory. We all bring it up so many times now, like the boss of what we were working for, we were doing beach chairs for the week. And it's probably like Thursday through that week, we start getting notifications that we may not be going back to class and all this stuff. And he's like, hey, if y'all don't go back to class, y'all can keep slinging beach chairs for me. And we were like, dude, if this thing's what they say it is, the beach is getting shut down. And he was like,
no way.
Nothing will shut down 38 beaches. And then literally like Saturday, there was a note that was out that was like, do not go to the beaches within 6 feet of each other. We were like, you were wrong.
So I'm by nature, I'm instantly a skeptic. And so, you know, all this stuff, I'm like, come on, man. I wasn't downplaying it, but I was like, is it really that? The two things where I realized like this is legit was when they canceled the March Madness.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I mean that is one of the biggest money makers, right, in all of the country. I was like, bro, if they shut that down, like that's pretty serious. And then they shut down the Strip in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I was like, when those two things happened, I was like, okay, this thing is gonna rock us, man.
I remember the NBA player Rudy Gobert when he got up there and he was like, the virus.
Yeah.
And the next, you know, he was the first one to be sick from it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. No, it really burdened me because like as most people, like there's people that I know personally, you know, friends, family members who like died from it.
My dad was like some of the worst years of his life because of just how insane it was at the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really hard, man. A lot of people got some downtime, and then people like in the medical profession and in other places like small business owners. You know, we had friends who lost their jobs. You know, fortunately, you know, Ginger was a school teacher. I was working at Lakeview. Like, we did not lose our jobs, and we had plenty of opportunities to be gracious to help people out. You know, and I remember Ginger and I were sitting down talking about it, and it would just seem like every week a new person we were hearing about had lost their job. Either the company had folded or they had laid people off. And I vividly remember Ginger going, Greg, this is not a good time to be stingy. And I was like, amen. Yeah.
I wish Brock was here. This would be such a fun Brock moment. That was when he had just started Burn Nutrition, like one of the little energy shake things.
Yeah.
He was the owner that he started that here.
I did not know that.
And he had like just started it.
He
and
was
then
peddling that nonsense.
He was all in. He was the owner. Like
unbelievable. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He had just started it and then COVID hit. And it was just a fun, like, not only was he just a good entrepreneur, but also was like wanting to keep his employees having jobs and then keep the business open. And so he was one of the first local small business restaurants to figure out how to do like curbside service where they didn't have to come in the shop.
Wow.
Like he was one of the first, like, and then all the nurses at EAMC and other places just became obsessed with the teas because it was one of the few things they could get on the way to work when everything was shut down.
Yeah.
I wish he was here to talk about it.
Nice,
Dadgummit,
Brock. That's great.
Yeah, we'll edit him in later.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, like we're talking about with the live stream, like I think there's a lot of small businesses that thought a lot of those services would be temporary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now it's like, now they're having to deal with like in-house drive-through and app.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, some of those small business owners are like, bro, we had no desire for this thing to stay.
Change the world.
Yeah. There's so many professions that it changed. Some of it probably not for the good, probably not for the best, you know? Yeah. And so, anyway. So that was tough for all of us.
That was quite the rabbit trail we just went down.
It was a good rabbit trail. I'm trying to be mindful of time. I mean, there's more to the story, but it's like this has been really good. But I'm trying to be mindful of.
You're great.
People's times.
This is the best. You're the best kind of guest. Just it flows. It's easy. You tell great stories, and you throw in an occasional cheesy joke.
Yeah.
So you then take us transit. We get through the COVID time, and then our wonderful producer Zach.
Yeah. So I really don't want to be melodramatic, right? I don't want to like just be like cinematography here, but not cinematography, cinematic. But so the job totally changed at Lakeview, and I was like, okay, I've got to either basically learn, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, if you do video, then you know if you do graphic design, you can do video, you can do a lot of stuff, and it's like, no, you really need somebody that's more like sound tech broadcasting. You know, at this point, and that's not my background. And I was like, but for the sake of Lakeview, like that's what they need. So let me just see. And I thought, you know, I've done other, you know, venture paths in my life that have gone all over the place. And I tried really hard, and I couldn't I couldn't connect with it. Like I couldn't figure it out. It didn't make sense to me. It didn't connect. There's IT and elements involved too, because you got people that are like, hey, we want to start our Sunday school class back, but like not everybody can come back. Can you help set up a Zoom? So I'm trying to help set up a Sunday service as well as set up 3 senior adult classes to Zoom their Sunday school class. And they're like, well, we don't have connectivity. And I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know how to help you. You know what I'm saying? And so it was so stressful. And it got to where like the sound booth had grown beyond what some of our volunteers could handle.
It's too much tech.
It was a lot, yeah. And so man, it's like I'm in the sound booth every Sunday, and I was no longer involved in a Sunday school class. I could no longer like worship because I'm working. Like I'm working every service, and you do that day in and day out over a long period of time, man. Like, I mean, yeah, like I'm spending time with the Lord during the week, but like I'm not worshiping with my family. Like I haven't sat by my family in church in like years. And I haven't worshiped alongside my wife or my kids or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love to sing in the choir. I was no longer like able to help in a Sunday school class. I couldn't sing in the choir. Like I couldn't do anything. And it got to be where, to be honest with you, like Sunday became my least favorite day of the week. Like I loathed Sundays. And I remember sitting down talking to BP because Brian was the pastor at this time. And I had known BP previously when he had come to teach the interns and stuff. We're about the same age. Our kids are about the same age. And I said, BP, I said, dude, I just feel like there's something like functionally wrong when one of your associate pastors says Sunday is the worst day of his week. And he was like, he started praying for me and started trying to help me figure it out. And I tried, and I just like, I don't think I could do it anymore. And I told him and I told Adam, I was like, I think my time may be done doing this. Well, there's other jobs I could have found in other places. Part of my story, just to brief part, is my youngest son, Caleb, is special needs. He's pretty high functioning, but he has special needs. And Auburn and Auburn City Schools provide so many things for him. You know what I'm saying? That like very few other places do. My daughter's in high school. Caleb is coming along really well. And I just was like, I just don't think it's wise for me to move my family, at this point. And I don't think it's fair for my family to make this sacrifice just because I can't be happy at my job if I want to put it at its basic level. And so I just was like, hey, I'll start looking for graphic design jobs and go back to that original plan of working as a graphic designer and then just trying to be a solid like church member. And I remember interviewing places and doors just shut one after another because they look at my resume and all they see is like, 20 plus years of vocational ministry. They didn't see like all the freelance stuff I had done in my portfolio. And I remember telling Ginger, I was just like, I was so beat down. I was like, I don't know what to do. I have a lot of buddies of mine that work in like athletic ministries at the D1 collegiate level. I do a lot of work for them and they're like, Greg, like we'll drum up enough work if you want to go out on your own. Like you can still do ministry in the context of graphic design. And I was like, bro, I can't work for myself, man. That's not for me, man. I gotta have a structure. I gotta have a place. So anyway, so my dad passed away in the fall of 2002. And I remember being there with him on his deathbed and he knew, I mean, we were so close, like he knew. And he said, Greg, he said, life's too short to do something that you don't enjoy. And, I don't know, man, that just kind of stuck with me. And so I was like, all right. And so I just told Ginger, I was like, I don't know what it is. I'll give God a blank check. And, I started looking for ministry jobs, and she was like, hey, look, man, like we need to move somewhere. Like there's other places, and so, yeah, just happenstance, the College of Engineering had an opening for graphic designer. And, I know the creative director over there. We had met once before and, his name's Danny Doyle. And, I applied and sure enough, they were like, we don't want this guy. This guy's a pastor. Like, what does he know? And Danny had met me, and he had seen my portfolio, and he's like, no, I'm telling you, man, like the dude can do it. I promise. You'll love his personality. He loves Auburn. I'm an Auburn homer, man. I ain't gonna lie, dude. And so they called me, and I interviewed, and they were like, okay, Ted Lasso, we'll take you. So all my little one-liners, all my little corny jokes, I'm their staff, Ted Lasso. And but it's funny though because here I am back again in a world where like there's only one other person on my team that's a follower of Jesus, And it takes me back to those early days. And I'm just like, okay, God, it's been a long time since I've been immersed in people that don't follow you. And I had an instant open door, because here's a guy who spent 20 plus years in vocational ministry. Like, why is he here? Well, their first thought is something like scandal, like I got fired or, dude, fell off his rocker, whatever. And I remember those first couple of weeks, I didn't know that they were thinking that. I was like, I knew plenty of people like Curtis Black and other people that I'm friends with who had done vocational ministry, gone back into, their field or whatever. And I'm living high on the hog. I get to help out in college Sunday school now. I'm back in the choir. I'm back worshiping with my family, And they asked me one Wednesday, they were like, hey, what are you guys doing tonight? And I said, well, we're going to church. My kids have equipping groups, and Ginger and I have choir practice. And they were like, oh, where do you guys go to church? And I was like, well, we're at Lakeview. And they're like, oh, you still go to church there? I was like, yeah, I didn't get fired. And they were like, well, we didn't know.
That's funny.
That's good.
And so yeah, that first year, man, like I got a chance to just talk to so many people, and even today, like just, man, so many people's lives, both Christian and non-Christian, Satan is just hammering them this side of heaven. And I remember years ago, an evangelist came and was like, hey man, like we're still at an age in America where like most people still believe that there's power in prayer, even if they're like agnostic or whatever. Oh, yeah. And so, man, I just try to be faithful. Like when I hear something that's going on, I'm like, hey man, like I'm going to pray for you. And then a little gunshot first, because I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, you're in a secular campus, like what's that going to be like? And even so, man, I try to follow up, like, hey, Blaine, man, I was praying for your niece the other day, man. Like, is that any better? Everything going good? Our deans, he does a big like Thanksgiving and Christmas meal for everybody who's connected, every office that's connected to the dean's office, so about 100 plus people. And so, like, he came to me last year, and he was like, they give thanks at the beginning of the Thanksgiving meal, and prior to that, it had been a little vague, a little generic, He's like, Greg, man, would you be willing to do that? And I respect my dean a lot. And I said, Mario, I said, I'd love to. I said, but man, I'm a follower of Jesus. So like, I'm going to pray to Jesus. And is that going to like get you in trouble? And he's like, I don't care who you pray to. I was like, deal. So bro, you better believe I prayed the gospel. Yeah. At that thing, and didn't get asked again this past year, but I'm hoping there'll be another time. But yeah, so that's where I'm at now. Still doing freelance work too. I have 3 friends of mine that are in athletic ministries at SMU, TCU, and here at Auburn. Mike Blanc, Wayne Dickens, and Chauncey Franks, and I could do all of their graphic design work for them.
We're supposed to be having Mike on the podcast.
I love me some Mike. Yeah.
On the 28th.
12 days, yeah.
Don't ask him on air. But just off air, you could just be like, "Hey, we had Greg on, man. I love Mike, man. He's fantastic." I'm Chet Williams and I were longtime friends. Got a chance to be youth pastor for his 3 kiddos, and man, when he died, that was tough, man. That was really hard for me. And so, both Wayne Dickens and Mike Blanc were led to the Lord through Chet Williams. And so Wayne has a leadership board. He's building the Chet Williams Leadership Board. And he sent me the material to do this booklet that he's doing, like a leadership booklet for this board. And it's a mentorship, like what Chet used to do. And I remember Wayne and I have been prayer and accountability partners for years. He's a real good friend of mine. I don't know if you remember the Sack Brody Iron Bowl, but Wayne was the defensive tackle who got the first sack. He opened up the floodgates, but Wayne sent me the stuff, and I opened it up, and I started working on it. I don't know, man, it just brought back a lot of memories. I started crying. I texted him. I was like, Wayne, this one's hitting pretty hard. And he goes, Greg, I started crying when I thought about you're going to be the one that helped build all this for us. So it's pretty sweet, man. And I knew Mike, and so having Mike back too, man. Mike called me up. They all call me Key. I guess it's an athletic thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're like, he's like,
what's up, Key?
Yeah, he goes, Key. I said, what's up, Mike? He goes, Chet didn't care about this stuff. I was like, oh, yeah, Chet didn't care about this stuff at all. He goes, I care about it, man. You going to help me out? I was like, I will. And so I've been able to help him build his new brand and all of his,
that's great.
All of his stuff, his newsletters and things like that.
I just got that like a week ago. So you helped with that?
I did.
Oh,
yeah, that was me.
It looks great.
That. Hey, thanks, man. You can tell me how you really feel off air, but no.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Greg early in this process with Ben and Brock, and kind of told him our concepts, and he created our full brand deck and our logo and the color schemes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You've done Zach's logo.
Yeah.
It's Auburn.
It's a Summit AV.
Summit AV.
Yeah. So I did the A and the V.
It's like,
it's like a summit. Yeah. And a sound wave.
Yeah.
So you have the summit and the sound wave built together.
So if all of your graphic design needs, reach out to Keith.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm full-time, part-time. So I work full-time at the university.
Yeah, that's right.
Chauncey, Mike, and Wayne keep me very busy. But every now and again, these projects come along for really close friends like you.
Yeah.
And I told you this too, man. Like I was elated when you told me the concept of this podcast, and I was like, Blaine, like I don't think there's anything out there like this. And I was like, I would love the opportunity to be on the front end of that. And so I'm really grateful that you guys do this, man. Heck yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah.
Well, we would be, you and Zach, really, we would not be where we are without the two of you.
100%.
Well, and you know, when Adam...
And Jace.
Yeah, when Adam came to me, I felt bad because
Jace.
I did feel like I left a pretty decent hole on the staff at Lakeview. Not because I'm so good, but because the need was so great. And like, you know, teaching pastors and stuff, there's plenty of people that can fill in those responsibilities,
very
right?
Niche.
Yeah,
thing.
it very much is. And there's just, I felt like I left a really big hole. And Adam was like, hey, I knew Zach because when Zach interned, he and I hit it off really well. And Adam was like, hey, we're talking to Zach. I was like, bro, he is exactly what you need. And I was so excited that when Zach came back.
And now he's leaving us.
And now he's leaving. Yeah.
It's a great opportunity,
awesome.
Though. We're grateful for the time that.
Yeah. Well,
Zach
man, I am so sorry for all the listeners those who are still listening to this episode.
If they're still listening, you shouldn't be sorry.
Yeah. Thank you for sticking around. And we're not surprised whatsoever.
I mean, I've just been involved in so many things. My life has taken so many paths. I mean, you know, I have a special needs son. I have a son that's married. You know, I've just got all these different factors in my life. And it's just like, and all these, you know, occupational ventures. But it's like at the heart of it, I just want people to know, man, I love Jesus, man. And when opportunities arise, man, I just want to be obedient to take advantage of them, man.
Amen.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to ask
that's what he's been entrusted with right
there.
Yeah.
You didn't even let her ask.
I'm sorry. I do have book references, but no, we're too long for that.
No, give us a quick one. Far from the hip. Let's go.
Yeah.
Something from Warren Wiersbe, I'll tell you that.
I deserve every bit of that.
No, you don't deserve it. It's just like it's a good commentary reference.
Warren Wiersbe has a devotional commentary set that is absolutely phenomenal. And so whenever I'm teaching in college Sunday school, I'm
every commentary quote is Warren Wiersbe. It's the only time I've heard of this guy, but it's phenomenal.
His stuff is really good.
Really good.
So when I started early on, Ben, I'll say this: anybody who is like new in their faith, right, or anybody who's trying to build their faith that listens to this podcast. Spiritual Disciplines for the Christian Life by Donald Whitney is one of the most exceptional books. Like it really walks through like what does the life of a believer look like, and it breaks down all those different elements of spiritual disciplines. When I have the opportunity to disciple young believers, like we walk through that book. It radically changed my life to just know, like, because here's the thing, right? The old adage is, you know, if you're like, hey, I'm new in Christ, I want to become Christ-like. What does that look like? That's a lot. That encompasses a lot. And you have the old adage of, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. But where's the problem? Nobody ever tells you where to take the first bite. And so Spiritual Disciplines for the Christian Life by Donald Whitney really walks through those steps. And then the second one is more of like basic level, like doctrine. And it's Adrian Rogers, who is a longtime pastor in Memphis, Tennessee, wrote a book. It's either What Every Christian Ought to Know or What Every Christian Should Know. I can't remember. But it's stuff like security of the believer, the doctrine of salvation. You know, think Wayne Grudem, but on like a baby pool level, you know.
I like it.
And those two books were like really instrumental. And so like when I'm discipling like teenagers, college students, new believers, like we're walking through one or both of those books. And then the third one is just going to be for you guys. And because I would imagine your audience is probably predominantly male, The Masculine Mandate.
It's a good book.
I think I've read that one.
Yeah. So
yeah, is it red book? Yep.
It's gone through some different covers, but it breaks down like, hey, what does a Christian man look like? Let's go back to the garden. Yep. What did God commission Adam with? To work and to keep. And I think it explains a lot of why we as men find our identity in our occupations. Like oftentimes when you need a man, it's like, hey, what do you do? The first thing we respond with is our occupation. And why is that? Right. And so, but to work and to keep and Masculine Mandate. Those are the three books I think that have really
Good references.
Really shaped, and I really encourage those, especially because like I'm not a really deep reader. You know, a lot of the people we've had on this podcast, like Hoffman and Trace and Aaron and all these guys, I'm just like, I'm very, very more like
Jesus Storybook Bible for me, Ben.
Listen, hey, that book is phenomenal.
It's incredible.
I hate that my kids were a little late in the game. Yeah. Like when that book dropped, but
our admonition to listeners last time was read it for yourself now,
bro.
Yeah,
it's so good.
The Scarlet Thread, there's so many stories in there that like if you haven't taken like a hermeneutic class or like a theology class, like I think you miss a lot of those, and just to see like how does this point to Jesus? It's incredible. It's incredible, man,
and it all does.
Amen.
Hey, thank you guys.
Thanks, Greg. That was really fun.
You think we could stretch out 15 more seconds here to get a full 2 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. We can.
12, 11.
Hey, words of wisdom from my grandfather.
Yes.
Never whittle against yourself.
Amen.
Cheers.
And that is how we close.
Hey guys, this is Blaine, one of the hosts here at Entrusted. We are really grateful you chose to spend some time with us today. We know you have lots of options, and we hope that the thoughts and the messages from this talk we had with our guests really propelled you to explore the design that you were created for. The best ways to support us, check out our socials, like, subscribe, leave a review, tell your friends, family, coworkers, neighbors. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope you'll tune back in next time.